And Bobby, and a special guest, Zack Ryle, our buddy from the XFFL. Come on in. We're going to be getting started here in just a couple minutes. We want to give people time to come on in. We're finishing up our notes. We're eating some Reese's eggs of Adams. Thank you very much for that,
Josh.
Yeah, having some Hall's cough drops. So y'all come on in. It's going to be a fun episode tonight. We're going to be doing a free agency recap and a little bit of a draft preview. So bring questions if you got them, and we're going to be answering them here on the pod. It's good to have y'all with us. We're excited for tonight's episode. Come on in. We're going to have some fun. We'll get started here in just a bit. Yeah, Zach, I would say just set your mic down and then just talk into it. Because it's, yeah, you can hear the handling noise on it.
An absolute nightmare.
Like what?
It sounds like a nightmare.
Don't hit these no matter what you do.
Yeah,
This any little thing you do.
Have I missed any free agent stuff in the last hour?
Not really.
I don't think so. I think the last big one was Emmanuel Sanders.
No, just kidding. William Jackson III just landed in Washington.
Who? How do you feel about that as a Bengals fan?
I mean, with Hilton and Awuzie, we're fine.
That's right. Y'all went and locked up 2 cornerbacks.
3-year deal worth roughly $14 million a year. Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
Y'all got Mike Hilton?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a nice sign.
So he's going to be playing slot. Awuzie will play where Jackson did.
Y'all have had some nice signings.
We have it in the dock, don't we?
Yep. I got both those guys.
I haven't been able to keep up with it today. So.
Dude, legitimately, I think it's probably like 60 to 70 moves we have in here. Like, there's been a lot of stuff happening. And it's funny because this isn't even free agency. This is the legal tampering period.
Mm-hmm.
So it literally has not even started yet.
And no, the trades are official yet, so they can't even move those pieces if they wanted to.
All right, let's see how we sound, fellers.
I actually like that for WJ3. I think he'll do well in Washington.
Was he a first rounder for you guys?
Out of Houston.
There's been a lot of stuff happening. And it's funny because this isn't even free agency. This is the legal tampering period.
Sounds terrible, Josh.
It literally has not even started yet. Looks good. It looks free. I know that. It looks very free.
Oh, yeah. We love free.
Yeah. This is too much for him. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, so WJ3 will be CB2 on the other side of Fuller.
Washington. Who is that? Is that Kendall
Fuller?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's his name going?
Josh Norman?
No. Somebody else is going.
Darby.
There you go.
Yeah. Darby went to
Denver.
Yeah, he got 3 years, 30 million, something like that.
3 years, 30 million, Eddie.
I mean, I can tell you Bengals fans are not happy about Hendrickson for
Pretty sure it's
Lawson.
my ball.
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense, especially since
Me and Adam are just gonna
you let Lawson go and then signed Hendrickson for way more than what Lawson got.
Not the guaranteed money. That's the difference, because the Bengals don't give guaranteed money out in the same way that everybody else does.
What did Lawson get guaranteed from the Jets?
A lot more.
30 million. But it's a 3-year deal. Whereas Hendrickson was like 32, 4 years.
Yeah, it was 4 years, 60.
4 years, 60.
Well, Andrew doesn't even get on the table anymore.
Yeah, he's banished to the other table.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson is a less player. It's very obvious to anyone that watches football. So
We'll get there.
We'll talk about that off air. All right,
That's a joke.
let's do it.
I feel like I can go.
no, we stand Carl Lawson. He was the number 2 edge rusher in the class. It's
Carl.
obvious.
Carl. I just want to say Carl.
Carl.
All right, fellas, here we go. We're gonna hit record and start this pod.
This is Big 3 IDP.
Catch us in the league going in every week, racking them points up. Who got the streak? Cause we joking it, having some fun. Yeah, this how the crew getting it done. I'm talking Josh, Adam, and Connor. Yeah, this a command and conquer. Hard hitting, the IR's real. This football, yeah, you know the deal. Cause it's all about the defense and the TDs. Yeah, this is Big 3 IDP.
What's up, you diehards, you degenerates, you lovers of defensive football? This is Josh Raymer, and we are back with another episode of the Big 3 IDP podcast. And I'm joined in the Sode Shack tonight on a 70-degree night in Bowling Green, Kentucky, as we'll get into. Addy was out on the golf course today.
Where I belong.
Where he belongs. Joined in the Sode Shack, as always, by Adam Markham, Bobby Reynolds, and joining us, you can see the back of his head, Zack Ryle. Zack, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, Zack, you've been in our main league, the XFFL, league we talk about a lot on here, since the very beginning. You're one of the OG members, and I think you did the XFFL recap pod that we had a couple years ago for the auction.
Yep.
But this is your debut on Big Three. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. I'm glad. Thanks for having me in. I actually brought a gift. I was listening to the end of last episode.
Yes, you know what Adam needs to go with his beer, right?
Oh no!
There you
my
go.
God.
There you go. Had to make a little monster stop.
There we
Sir,
go.
it's
Crack
cold.
open.
Cheers,
Ice cold.
brother. Cheers.
It's setting the bar high for future guests.
I need a monster.
You do need. I needed
Oh,
a
gosh.
monster.
Had some daytime beers today. I mean, hey, we're struggling a little bit right now. This is Zach.
It's a pick me up. There you go.
He doth provide.
That's right. Our first in studio guest, I'm pretty sure, setting the bar very, very high.
Yeah.
For future guests.
Yeah,
So
take
thank you,
note.
Zach.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
There you go.
Love you, Zach.
So what we're going to talk about tonight, ladies and gentlemen, who are we kidding? It's just gentlemen. Is we're going to do, it is the legal tampering period, or as I said a couple episodes ago, the legal tampon period. So we are going to touch on all the deals that are not yet official. And folks, keep in mind, when we say not official, that really does mean not official. Remember Frank Gore to the Eagles before changing his mind and then going to the Indianapolis Colts? These deals can still fall through, but I think we'll see a pretty high hit rate, if not 100%, pretty close to it. But free agency officially does not kick off until tomorrow. So we'll see all these deals that we're going to talk about tonight get finalized. But we're going to recap the first 2 days of the legal tampering period, offense and defense. And then, Zach, you've got a special segment cooked up for us. You specialize as a former offensive lineman in breaking down the lineman prospects in this year's draft. I'm very excited for this segment.
I think it's going to be a fun one. This is a good year's class, so I'm looking forward to breaking down.
It sounds like, from what I'm hearing, like last year's offensive line class was really, really good, especially the first round talent. I mean, you saw Tristan Wirfs, a first round pick on a Super Bowl winning team in Tampa Bay.
Out of Lexington, Kentucky, too.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
Look at Tristan Wirfs. I love that guy even more now. So would you say, how does this year's class stack up? Is it better or worse than last year's class?
I think it's better than last year's class. I think that the strength at the top is there, and I think there's depth.
That's
and I
nice.
think that's something that was lacking a little bit last year. You had the top end talent, and certainly you could find players, and there have been players in the mid rounds who have played well this year. But this year, if you look through PFF's top 100, they are littered with offensive linemen, where normally you would have a couple top offensive tackles, and then you would see maybe a couple in the 70s and 80s, and that's really it. No, I mean, you can look. We're going to talk probably about 20 guys who can go in the second, by the end of the second round.
That's good, because my beloved Indianapolis Colts need a left tackle after Anthony Costanzo's retirement. So maybe a first-round guy, maybe a second-round guy. Sounds like there'll be some nice options available, but we will get to that. Fellas, we're not even doing a news segment tonight because there are literally so many moves to get through from free agency. We're going to start with offense. And what I've tried to do here is batch these together by teams, because there were some teams, fellas, especially a team near and dear to our baby Lauren's heart, the New England Patriots, who have been mucho busy in free agency, Hattie.
Yeah. I think they saw Tom get a ring, and now they're like, oh God, we got to spend.
It's like, you have a breakup, right?
Mhm.
And the ex goes off and gets married and starts a new life, and the Grom's looking good and they seem very happy. And so you're like,
we got to look put together.
we gotta get it together. I think Belichick was on the boat to start free agency last year. If I'm not mistaken, this is just very atypical. I actually heard this. It floored me. So spending in free agency obviously has gone up because the cap has gone up. So a lot of the biggest spending sprees in free agency history have happened in recent years. The Jets, a couple of their free agent classes were in the top 5. The Dolphins last year were number 2. By the time it's all said and done, this New England Patriots spending spree will be the most money ever spent in free agency.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
But
Total departure.
It almost seems like a normal Belichick move when everybody else is cash strapped.
Yep.
He was somehow able to predict a global pandemic, be able to have enough cap room when the cap is going to come down to get some of these players that they may not have been in running for with other teams that had more cap room.
Of course.
If it was up at 190, 200, like we thought it was going to be.
That's right. So,
and they're also still loaded up with draft picks too.
That's
So
right.
They've done a good job of addressing the weaknesses that they have. We'll get to them.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, what we're going to do here, fellas, we're not going to break down every single move because that would be absolutely insane. Like I said, there's about 60 or 70. But what I want to do is touch on the ones I've made some notes here on some of these, and I want to touch on the moves that you all feel move the needle for fantasy or that just grabbed your attention. So, Zach, we'll start right here off the top. As a Bengals fan, your former quarterback was in Dallas last year.
Yep.
Now lands with the Chicago Bears on a 1-year, $10 million deal. So let's start with the obvious question. Do you think it's Big Dick Nick or the flaming red ginger man that gets the nod at quarterback week 1 for the Chicago Bears?
I think it's going to be the Red Rifle.
Okay.
I think you don't make an investment like that for 1 year. I mean, really, you're trying to prove to Allen Robinson and others that we mean business. We're trying to do something. Sorry for Trubisky, not working. Sorry, Foles. We probably screwed that one up too. Look, Andy, for all he is, I mean, he has been a league average quarterback. But you do look, I mean,
league average is pretty good. A lot of teams would take league average.
I mean, the Bears would take league average.
Yes.
I mean, compared to where they've been. And I think that, I mean, you look, he's shown that he can play with an elite wide receiver. AJ Green has been there. So, A-Rob should be pretty happy. And I've seen Bears fans be upset because they get, they played on awful Bengals teams. Well, no, they weren't awful. You've got 2 guys who are probably going to be consideration for the Hall of Fame on those teams. And he was able to lead them to playoffs 5 out of 6 years. So
Dalton, when he has talent around him, can elevate his game.
He's not going to win. He is not going to take on his back like, Tom Brady could with some of those Patriot teams in the, mid 2010s.
Yeah.
He's not going to do that. But you put some talent around him, yeah, he could play.
Daniel Jeremiah has a great term, Addy. It's truck versus trailer when he talks about quarterbacks. Trucks pull their teams. They will their teams to victory through sheer force of will. That's this. Think about, Justin Herbert elevating that team around him. Think about Deshaun Watson, elevating that team around him. Andrew Luck in his early years. Those are all examples of trucks. Andy Dalton is a trailer. This team, he is not going to hold the team back. He's going to go with the flow of the talent that is around him.
Yeah, I mean, their MO is defense and I guess the running game. But God, I mean, you can't get excited about this if you're Chicago. I mean, they have to address this position in the draft, right? Where are they picking at?
Chicago, we can take a look. I think it's probably middle of the draft since they didn't make the playoffs.
So, I mean, they got to find a way to I think, come away with one of these quarterbacks because, what's there right now is you can't be happy with that.
Yeah, so they're picking, it looks like, goodness, where are they? Oh, they're at 20. Oh, they did make the playoffs.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Did they? Oh, my gosh. Yes, they did. Because it says here, wild card round losers, and it has Chicago at 20.
That's right.
So there you go. I did not remember that. Are we sure they made the playoffs? I don't know. I don't think they did. I think they just missed it, maybe. Whatever. They're picking at 20. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they made the playoffs. They didn't win the Super Bowl, so who remembers? All right, let's talk about another move here, fellas. Aaron Jones sticking with the Green Bay Packers. Bobo.
Yeah.
Feel good about Aaron Jones in Green Bay, or do you want to see him go somewhere else?
I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit last week, but this was smart on Green Bay's part. Maybe they don't love A.J. Dillon as much as we were kind of leading to believe that they did. I guess A.J. Dillon, sell season was, at the end of 2020 with all this hype that was kind of going on, but that's smart on Green Bay. Lock him up. Aaron Jones is good. I like it.
Sale season was 3 days ago.
Yeah, it was right before this news hit, right?
Yeah, when they didn't tag Aaron Jones, that's when you're supposed to trade away A.J. Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Dillon, I mean,
he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
He still has some nice touchdown upside. I mean,
great injury upside. If Aaron Jones goes down,
The Bears lost to the Saints in the wild card round last year, which was, I guess, so they were the 7th seed.
That was the
last
slime
year.
game.
Yes.
Was it the slime game?
Yeah,
Who was-
Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Who
yes.
was the quarterback for
Trubisky. He was the MVP, wasn't he?
That's right. Okay, yes, it was the slime game.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and the trolls voted Trubisky as the most valuable player.
That was the best.
Amazing.
21-9.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was just having a total brain fart.
Very-
I watched that one in the hotel room, like half asleep. So
Very-
I was not plugged in.
Yeah, I mean, I was with you. I was like, "There's no way they made the playoffs," but they definitely did.
So Trubisky's gone, right?
that's right.
Is
Yep.
that the end of his rookie contract?
Yeah, he is officially a free agent.
I gotcha.
Well, and Foles will come off the books, I think, next year, and so would Andy Dalton. So if
Mhm.
they do draft a quarterback, perfect side.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump back here too. I don't really care for Emmanuel Sanders to Buffalo as the Gabe Davis owner. It just means Gabe Davis' season is probably postponed at least for another year. Sanders is fine. He's aging, so I think Gabe Davis will be better this year than he was last year. But the full-on rocket booster has not been engaged.
Not been
quite yet.
engaged.
Isaiah Hodgins' season
Shut-
takes a step back too.
That season it got canceled. It maybe get picked up for the 2022 season.
I had him in a few spots.
Yeah, I
Been
saw
picking
you.
him up.
You've been dropping him.
Pick him up.
Yeah. That's the wrong one. Which one is it, Eddie? Pick 'em up. There it is. I found it. So let's keep it rolling here, fellas. The Jacksonville Jaguars made some moves, adding Carlos Hyde, Jamal Agnew, in case you're a Jamal Agnew manager, and Marvin Jones. This is the big one I wanted to talk about. I was really hopeful to see Marvin Jones in Green Bay. I thought he would be a great second banana behind Devontae Adams for Aaron Rodgers to finally have that number 2 wide receiver. But instead, he lands in Jacksonville on a 2-year, $14.5 million deal. Addy, does this increase or decrease your Visca love for 2021 specifically?
I mean, it can't decrease it. I mean, this is. I mean, the offense is just going to be better.
It's a nice 3-pack of wide receivers now.
Maybe more touchdown potential for Visca if they got offense that's moving the ball a lot and they're in the red zone quite a bit. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'd imagine there will be weeks where they kind of spread it around or Marvin Jones is the alpha. But I mean, I love it for Marvin Jones.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
ascending team with a new rookie quarterback. I mean,
he could have gone a lot of bad places.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to really like having him around. But yeah, it's always going to be Visca season.
Always
for
the
your boy.
drip is
A
too
lot
much.
of cards coming, a lot of Visca cards. I
Yeah.
need to do an update.
Zach, are you a card guy?
Card guy. And
Like sporting cards, like football cards, basketball
I did
cards?
baseball cards growing up.
Mm.
Did baseball cards growing up, but that's really about it.
Do you still have your cards?
Yeah, I do. Back home.
Should do a comp on eBay.
I looked some of mine up and I was like 99 cents. I thought I have some pretty good ones in here. No,
No.
they were all just
All
trash. Yeah. all
Josh, that's a
garbage.
quesadilla. That's a quesadilla. That's a quesadilla.
But I have to
You're
sell
not
these.
seeing the real value, Josh.
the envelope that I would put it in, the stamp that I would put on there, I would lose money on every transaction that I would sell these on eBay.
So let's not jump over this one too quick, but shout out to our boy Fantasy Guru Bro for James Robinson's season continuing at least until the draft. So,
That's right.
See
See if we can dodge. I remember Marlon Mack, thinking I'd gotten through unscathed that first round, and then the Jonathan Taylor bullet.
Yeah. So sell
me right in the
James
heart.
Robinson if you're listening to this
Yes,
podcast.
truly.
Carlos Hyde was the best available option there if you wanted to continue any value for him. So, maybe he plays some this year, but just go ahead and get off of him now, is my opinion.
And also shout out our boy Ben, the Miami Dolphins fan, Jacoby Brissette landing there.
Mhm.
I think it was Sig that said on Twitter, in case you had forgotten how the Dolphins were all in on Tua Tagovailoa for 2021, they just signed Jacoby Brissette, who was a starter 2 years ago.
Mhm.
But I think that's a nice backup. They knew Fitz was out the door, which we'll talk about landing in Washington. So I think it's just an insurance move.
Yeah, but if Tua struggles,
Yeah.
you know how those fans get.
So he's a competent backup. I
Yeah.
will say that.
He's a better than average backup.
I
I like
agree.
Brissett. I've
I
always
do
been a
too.
big fan.
Speaking of competent backups, you've got Tyrod Taylor that we skipped right over.
Mm.
With everything that's going on in Houston,
That's true.
You've got a guy who can start. You've got a guy who can be
Love that, Zach.
You know,
I love it.
who can be that mentor if you bring in a young quarterback to kind of guide them along. There's a lot of things there that can go
Zach,
in. That's-
here's what I hope.
this off. Turn this whole thing off for a little bit. I want to make out with him for a little bit.
Here's what I hope happens, because it's happened with Tyrod the past 2 stops that he's been on. I hope they trade Deshaun, and it's like, it's Tyrod season. It's Tyrod season. They draft a hotshot rookie who then starts in game 2 when Tyrod gets his other lung punctured by the training staff. And just like in Cleveland when Baker came in, and just like in Los Angeles when Herbert came in.
That's a Sesslerism right there.
Yeah.
If I've ever heard it.
Just that's a prediction.
There you
Those
go.
crazy predictions that Mark is known
I wonder
for.
if he got to review the injury staff, the team
I hope
doctors
so.
before he signed that
I
contract.
really hope
100%.
so. He's like, how are you guys with needles?
Yeah.
And giving injections.
I know the backups there are probably trash, but I'm hoping this is teeing up a Deshaun trade. I hope they know something.
I was telling Zach before we got in here, I think the Houston brass is going to dig their heels in,
Yeah.
and I just don't think they're going to move him. I think they're going to try to send a message of, you can pout all you want.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, I think Zach's holding up CMC right now for a potential Panthers trade. That could work. I think it's one of those teams that's near the top. Like, I think the Jets have the ammo to make it happen. They're obviously picking at 2. Carolina could. They're at 8. I've heard San Francisco a lot, but they're at 12. So I don't really see that.
I've seen Parsons pegged a lot to Carolina right now. So, yeah, I don't know.
It'll depend on how the quarterbacks shake out.
I'm just hoping for my baby Deshaun. Please, buddy.
That would be
Just get out.
That would be nice.
Where do you want him to go?
That's it, yeah.
Anywhere. I don't care.
You don't
Anything's got
want
to
him
be
to use
better. Anything's got to be better than Houston, right?
It
Randall
would-
Cobb,
Brandon Cooks?
Brandon Cooked.
Yeah,
Huh?
Brandon can't spell Cooks without CTE.
We do owe him an apology. He did really well.
He
last year.
did. He really did.
But
Yeah.
hey, listen, one more concussion, Brandon.
We're just worried
We know,
about you.
We know.
Who else do they have? Oh, Fuller's gone, probably.
Fuller's probably gone. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
gone.
Deshaun's weapons this year are going to be worse than last year. Another year with David Johnson. Now you've got no Duke. And who did they bring in? Oh, yeah.
Mark Ingram.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
what
nice.
Andre Roberts. Don't forget Andre Roberts.
Yeah,
what a
that's
team they're
good.
building there.
Very forgettable.
AJ McCarron is the other quarterback there with Tyrod.
Yeah.
Chest tats is in the building.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Nice.
I think
Yeah,
he's actually.
great
I
tats.
think he's actually a free agent, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
okay.
I think he is a free agent, which
Hmm.
explains why they brought in Tyrod. They know chest tats has a market.
Mhm.
Definitely Google AJ McCarron chest tat.
Also, Google AJ McCarron's girlfriend's
Yeah.
name
Wife.
plus
Yeah.
what is it?
It's the wife now.
It's his wife now with
Brett Musburger.
Brett Musburger.
Yes.
Oh wow, I am very horny looking at her. Was the subtext of everything that he was
Oh, yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's
Hey,
just
Brett, we're
crushing
on
it.
air, buddy.
Now he's just crushing it out in Vegas. Like he's the voice of the Raiders. He's got a whole gambling operation. Brent's doing just
Hey,
fine.
Things were a lot simpler 10 years ago.
They really, really were. That is for damn sure. So let's talk about New England. We mentioned them earlier. My God, we're just going to run through their offensive picks. And then there's somehow perhaps even more on the defensive side. But the quarterback room, probably going to get an upgrade either in the draft or if they bring somebody else in. But for now, Cam Newton re-signs there 1 year, $5 million. There's a lot of incentives there. Jonnu Smith signs a 4-year, $50 million deal. Nelson Aguilar, 2 years, $26 million. Kendrick Bourne, 3 years, $22.5, and Hunter Henry, 3 years, $37.5 million. So, Bobby, is Cam Newton the starter by week 6 for New England?
100%.
You think so?
100%.
Are you back in on Cam with these weapons, the upgrades?
I think Bill is pretty much just going to throw caution to the wind, and anything he's wanted to do as far as offensive schemes, he's going to do. Roll out 5 tight ends with Devin Asai and whoever Dalton Keene, and there's
Hunter
another one.
Henry.
Matt
and-
Lacoste.
Yeah, there you go. You know,
All those Patriots tight
five
ends.
wide tight ends.
I
You
want
know,
to see it.
kind of ready. But I don't know. I think I really do like this for Cam. You look at some of those sets that they put him in last year, those goal line packages, and he was just, he's pounding them in at the 1 yard line. And I don't know. He's never going to be a huge passer. I think 200 yards a game is going to be tops for
Like
him, maybe.
8 passing touchdowns last season, bro.
It
Yeah.
was the worst.
Like 8.
It was awful.
I can't quit Cam.
But Demir Bird was their leading snap getter at
Yeah.
receiver. So you have to keep that in mind.
But are we really talking about people better than Demir Bird?
I mean,
Hey,
I
Nelson
think
Aguilar, Kendrick Byrne.
Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Byrne.
You just got burned.
Yeah, Kendrick Burns.
I like it. Let's
They
leave
did
it.
sign Kendrick Burns as well. It's coming across the wire right now.
Okay. All right. There we go.
No, I think they are trying to obviously give Cam the weapons that he needs there.
Mhm.
Are they trying to recreate the Hernandez Gronk combo of tight ends? It certainly seems like they want to roll these two tight ends out there.
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar was great in Las Vegas last year.
Yep.
But Carr's was a significantly better quarterback than Cam last year. So
Ridiculous contract for those two guys.
I
though.
know,
Yeah.
right?
Just ridiculous.
I think in your goal line packages, if they can get down there, that's going to be a crazy setup. And I think it's going to allow him to use his legs and his arm. You could see some jump passes with Henry and Jonnu Smith that are going to be able to do things
That's
that
true.
nobody on that team could do last year.
That is true.
Especially with what Adam's talking about, considering the timing, like why lead with Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne and let those be some of the first wide receivers off when you could let Curtis Samuel, Kenny Galladay, Juju, all these other dudes go and then just kind of like sweep up the scraps there at the end.
Marvin Jones just got 2 years, $14 million.
Exactly.
Why
Yeah,
would you
like,
not go after him.
Why it's the axiom in sales, like he
Yeah.
who names
Yeah.
price first loses.
Mhm.
Like Bill set the market here, and now he's looking around like, oh, we could have waited till like, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, were people beating down the door for Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne?
That's all these deals that he handed out.
4 years, $50 million for Jonnu.
Hey.
Hey, I love Jonnu.
I like Jonnu
4
too.
years, 50. I thought Hunter Henry would get more than that.
So let's talk
Yeah.
fantasy wise. What does this do to Jonnu's ADP? What tight end is he off the board now?
I mean,
Man.
like tight end 15.
I was going to
20.
say, I think both these guys get a bump down for me
Tight end
until
15?
until we see otherwise with
You think
Cam.
tight end 12 to 15?
Adam.
I'm not taking him top 10.
I'm saying, well, maybe we're in the weirdest part of the
Who would
country.
you rather have of these two, though? That's the question.
I understand that. I guess
Johnny,
we're in kind of
Henry, I think.
we're in the Titan belt.
I would want Johnny.
I'd want Henry as the pass catcher.
I'd want Jonnu.
I like Jonnu as the athlete.
Jonnu only had 4 rushing yards last year. What the heck, Vrabel?
What happened to that? Was that long run that he had 2 years ago? then?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a bad look on you, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that they're really good about doing is they've always been good with tight ends and utilize get their keeps. If I was taking one, I would take Jonnu. I would probably be in the 7 to 10 range,
Mhm.
where Henry, I'd probably be about 15. That's where I would feel.
I
So just
agree.
swap out which one you like better.
Do
this-
you want either of them, though? Truly.
Oh, this is a
I got
trash
Mark
heap.
Andrews, I'm good.
I don't want either of them. I don't want either of them. I guess because of where we live and so many Titans fans, Jonnu's he's gonna be drafted high because of like the whole like what could be.
It's the what could be. Whereas Hunter Henry will probably go below Jonnu because we've seen Henry. There's still kind of that teaser potential there. Like, could he break out? But Jonnu, I think, has the bigger, mysterious kind of like upside appeal.
Well, of just kind of like how could Bill use him?
yeah, exactly.
Could he be a running
He
back?
hasn't been unleashed yet. Hunter Henry has the injury stink on him.
But
you
those
know.
contracts are all trash, except for
It's-
Cam.
It's
Cam
really bad.
$1 million for 5 is decent.
So, yeah, Aguilar, I just had a note. I was hoping he'd end up somewhere with a better QB. He was secretly very good. And what's hilarious is that the Raiders got him for like $1 million last year.
Mhm.
And now the Pats are paying him 2 years, 26.
Yeah, he was a great deep threat last
Yeah.
year.
He was great. So Jameis Winston, after Taysom Hill signs like a 4-year, $1.4 billion contract that is voidable for the next 14 years. They sign Jameis Winston to a 1-year, $12 million. That's the max value of the contract. I think Jameis is going to be the starter in week 1. Does everybody agree, or somebody think it's going to be Taysom Hill?
Yep.
Zach, you on the Jameis train as well? Okay.
I think this probably bumps up Taysom's package snaps. I think he's going to
Yeah.
see 10 snaps a game, whereas with Drew seeing 3 to 5.
Yeah.
I think that you could even see them use him for entire drives.
Yeah.
Which I hate if I'm the Kamara owner or the MT owner. I mean, do you really want Michael Thomas right now, knowing Winston and Hill are going to be your quarterbacks? Winston,
He had
for
LASIK.
all intensive purposes, is awesome for fantasy.
He is. I mean, he supported Mike Evans and
Yep.
Chris Godwin.
We'll see what type of leash he has there.
Exactly.
You know,
I think Sean Payton, I was listening to an interview with a Saints beat writer, and the guy said Payton is invigorated by the challenge of reinventing this offense.
Mm.
So if Jameis is the guy, but you have, I mean, I don't know. Man. I think you're right. I think the leash could be shorter than we think.
There definitely had to be some games last year where he was like, dang, Drew, like, I would love to put somebody else in right now. Like, Drew looked bad last year.
But think about it, too. Taysom was fine in those games where he started, and they had Jameis healthy on the roster. So they could have gone to Jameis if the leash for Taysom was short. I kind of get the sense if we're talking about one versus the other, the leash for Jameis will be way shorter than it would be for Taysom Hill. At least that's the sense I got from watching the Saints team last year.
Money-wise, Taysom's making like $1 million a snap. Every time he comes in for a package play, it's like, well, I get my 3 snaps a game. There's my $1 million.
Pretty much.
I mean, the amount of money that they're paying him for how little he plays is insane. But who knows what Sean Payton's going to do?
So a couple more moves here. And Zach, we'll touch on this one as well. Another.
Hey, I want to stop for a second. What about Adam Troutman? Are you?
Oh yeah. I like Adam Troutman. I mean, Marquez,
Callaway,
Deontay Harris. I like both those guys a little bit. We actually just drafted them in our.
Manuel Sanders is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, no more Manuel Sanders.
Callaway was really good last year, and that's somebody you can probably buy like stupid cheap right now.
He was good. Yeah, he's 22.
Who was the wide receiver that I know the Podfather was always very high on from New Orleans, and it never worked out.
Traquan Smith.
Traquan Smith.
He should get a bump. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is he still with the team? I think he's gone, isn't he?
I think maybe this is his last year.
Okay.
I'll say with New Orleans, they will be a sneaky pick to have a quarterback at the end of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
Sean Payton is smart. He'll know that 5th-year option is going to be sitting out there for them. When you've got Jameis on a 1-year deal, we've said Taysom Hill is potentially on a 1-year deal.
And yes, all the years are voidable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's one to be looking at.
Yeah.
I did hear they were talking about on Around the NFL. You could see him falling in love with like a Trey Lance,
that would be beautiful.
Moving up to get him.
There.
Yeah.
Where do you think Trey goes, Zach?
We'll talk, but he's going to be going top 10.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
Somebody tweeted today that in the first 6 picks, all 4 of those quarterbacks are going to be gone.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And we'll talk.
And it was like
trading up and trading down. It's going to be insane this year to get in there.
Yeah. So Traquan Smith has 1 year left on his contract. He's a free agent next year. So Zach, as a Bengals fan again, John Ross, New York Giants, 1 year, $2.5 million. Do you think Ross has anything left, or is this just this guy will be in the XFL next season?
Out of all the offensive players that I can think about in recent memory, John Ross is the one that just absolutely befuddles me because, you're sitting here with a guy with legit speed, burner speed, who, when he played well. I mean, good God, there was a point where it was like, 4 games, 7 touchdowns with the Bengals. I mean, it's ridiculous. And again, at that point, not throwing with great, Andy Dalton was hurt. We had a lot of different things going on at the Bengals at that point. I just don't know. Is Daniel Jones going to be the one who's going to throw him a deep ball? I don't know.
I don't trust Daniel Jones to throw any kind of ball to anyone.
Smart man.
Well, and I mean, basically, he's going to be replacing Golden Tate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's downgrade.
Yes, it is.
That's a significant downgrade.
I think it's just a flyer.
Yeah,
it's a flyer to see if John Ross has anything left in the tank.
This is his show. This is his show.
This is it. Yeah, it's either you and it's a 1-year deal. So if you do well, you can be like Nelson Aguilar and revive your career and go out and get a $26 million deal next year when the cap goes up.
I would love to see him go into a slot role. Stop being the outside receiver. Go into a slot role with your speed. You can make a couple people miss and be gone.
That's right. You still got the speed.
Hey, Dante Pettis has got that slot nailed down now, Zach.
I forgot pink-haired baby is there.
Go ahead and usher your way out there.
So appreciate the monster. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
My goodness, one of them, just one, and I'm gone.
Yeah. So Corey Davis, Addy, I wanted to bring this one up. 3 years, $37.5 million with the New York Jets. Basically, the Jets, instead of going and getting a Kenny Golladay or a Juju Smith-Schuster, they went with Corey Davis. The way I kind of read this was they're basically banking on Mims or Davis to become the wide receiver 1 for this team. And I don't mind that. You're kind of, picking one of these 2 guys to emerge. But, they had the money to go get a number 1 wide receiver. I kind of wonder why they didn't.
I mean, maybe they still could.
They still could.
But yeah, I mean, I expect them to bring someone else in, whether it be through the draft. You know how that goes. Like usually when they bring in a quarterback, they want to bring in a wide receiver to pair him with.
Mm-hmm.
So that could happen. But I mean, yeah, I like it. I like Corey Davis. All right. I thought he was, I think he's a little slept on. I mean, he's still a young guy, still has a chance to get better. So yeah, nice fresh start for him there. And yeah, it's great for Denzel Mims too, because I mean, I think that Mims is better than Corey Davis, but that's not a knock to Davis. Davis is fine. Davis is solid.
Yeah.
What did you boys think about all this stuff with Russell Wilson? Is this in here?
No, we didn't do any kind of news or speculation.
All right,
I saw the Pete Carroll likes Sam Darnold.
Mhm.
What about that?
But the other part of that I think threw cold water on that, and it may have just been the trade destination, but Chicago in signing Dalton, the story came out that they made a serious push for Russell Wilson,
Mhm.
and Seahawks brass told them, we are not trading Russell Wilson at this time.
Mm.
So I think there's a reason this report came out about Darnold and Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
It could have been a message to Russ like, hey, like we're not looking to trade you right now, but like we have options if we were to do so. Like, I'm wondering why that story leaked out. It kind of seems like a message to Russell Wilson type of story.
But if you're Russell, you're like, really? Okay. Cool.
Okay.
The Seahawks would be
Get Darnold.
stupid, to go from Russell Wilson to Sam Darnold.
Hey, sorry, DK and Tyler. They want Sam Darnold. So.
Yeah.
What could
Mad
Chicago offer Seattle? Like you're talking, we said what, the 20th pick, where right now you're sitting there looking at New York. You could have the second pick. You could have what I think it's 18 or 19 because they have another pick for
They do.
Jamal Adams.
Hmm.
So I mean, you're looking at multiple first rounds. You give him Sam Darnold. You give him one or two other players. Give him another first round pick in the 2022 draft. There's an actual package where Chicago
doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Chicago does not have it.
Yeah. It depends on which party is kind of engaging the other as to kind of how that narrative needs to be written up. But anyways.
Yeah. So let's
Josh bugging for
I know. I'm like, who is hitting the
There's
microphone?
noise.
The microphone arm. I don't know.
we don't know.
But let's couple more offensive moves here I wanted to touch on. Gronk's going back to Tampa Bay. We knew this one was coming.
Mhm.
And then Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, the Amish rifle. I heard that nickname floated again today.
my God.
Very much enjoyed it. Signs a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Washington football team. I love this for Washington's weapons. I love this. I'm happy for Fitz. I think he's actually going to have a starting job. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be bombs away. Like, let's not forget, Fitz uncorked like a 40-yard bomb with his head twisted about 90 degrees last season and won the ball game. So I love this. I'm pumped. If I'm the Gibson manager or the McLaurin manager, I am feeling really, really good with Fitzmagic in the building.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's great. It's great for fantasy.
Does Fitzpatrick? Does Washington win that game against Tampa if Fitz is the quarterback?
Potentially.
I mean,
Yeah.
they were in the mix with Taylor Heineke,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I think it's a lot closer probably.
Yeah, I mean, he makes it more of a wild card type game,
Or he throws 4 picks and they lose 35-10.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
I mean, that team is just so dominant on defense. Like, I mean, any little quarterback upgrade is huge for that team. So I do like it for him from fantasy and for next year, of course. But I mean, at some point they got to get a quarterback for the future, and they're just kicking the can down the road with these
Mhm.
1-year rentals and stuff. So
You have to think that they could be in the mix for a quarterback in the draft
Yeah,
as well, right? Like
they're
you
another
could see
candidate
that
for
Yeah.
sure.
What about Gibson, though? Let's talk about him a little bit more. Do you think he produces more in 2021 or less than what he did in 2020, Josh?
I think more because I
More?
think he'll be more
How so?
involved in the passing game.
Specifically, tell me more about it.
No, I'd rather not. I don't want to talk about it at all. We've exhausted that
Hey,
discussion.
Cam Sims got a
Cam Sims, did he get a tender?
didn't he? I think we missed that. I like. Nope, you do it.
I like Cam Sims.
He's the best. I do like him a lot as well. I've kind of stashed him in a couple places, and dude, I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay, so this isn't fair to say last year, but when Alex Smith was in Kansas City, Ryan Fitzpatrick better or worse than Kansas City Alex Smith before he got hurt?
Well, that's tough. I mean, probably worse.
Worse?
Alex Smith in Kansas City
Alex Smith was good.
Yeah.
He was really good.
He was
like
slept on.
He was like that game against the Colts that we were at, that crazy comeback when
Yeah.
they had luck. I was terrified when Alex Smith went on the field because he was playing great that
And
game.
remember, wasn't Washington pretty good before he tore up his knee?
Yes,
Yeah.
they were 5-1. I think when he shredded his knee.
How old is Fitzpatrick?
Fitzpatrick is
38.
he's 30. Yeah, he's in his
Yeah, he went to
late 30s.
Did you guys know that he went to Harvard?
Yeah.
That's not true.
I
That's
want to know how many teams he's
unsubstantiated
played
rumors.
for. I know he's played for Buffalo. He's played for Cincy. He's played for Washington now, Miami. I mean, he could take a whole map and start scratching.
I
them
think
off and-
he's probably
Harvard
like a third
University.
of the league.
Isn't his
Harvard University. You played for them.
Yes, he did.
No,
what's
he
that?
didn't, Adam.
What's that test
Yeah,
they
he
play? What's that test? Oh, he's like scored super high on not
Oh,
the
the
IQ
Wonderlic.
test. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
SAT.
Yeah, he scored great on the SAT.
What if
as
what
well.
if Ryan Fitzpatrick is like really good this year? Is that a crazy world?
No, of course not.
MVP. You're going to be on that train? You
50 touchdowns.
Love
50-50.
20 to Terry.
Hey,
20 to Terry.
Before we go IDP,
Yes.
I want to mention there were a couple teams who did some big offensive line moves.
Ooh,
And I think
okay,
that
yes.
I think that's going to help him. One, the Chargers.
The Chargers were the big offensive line winners.
My
I felt
gosh,
like
Corey
Linsley.
is anybody who doesn't know his name. I mean, he is one of the great centers, and I mean, obviously, when you're Aaron Rodgers, you know you're going to play up a little bit, but he plays so well, and he's going to anchor that line.
Oh yeah,
And so Justin Herbert should be gaga over him. He should buy
Absolutely.
steak dinners nonstop because he just got a huge upgrade.
he
Bradley
just keeps
Cooper to his
feeding up
Gaga.
steak dinners.
Ooh, I love
You
that.
know, maybe.
Remember how Coops looked at Gaga?
Man, hey.
The
Something,
Sparks.
hey, there was something there, wasn't it?
There
Hey,
was.
that OB Coops. Marriage didn't last too long, did it?
It's a home wrecker. Sorry, Zach. Go ahead. Back to the Chargers. They signed other offensive linemen as well,
did,
right?
They did, and I'm blanking right now. Obviously, Linsley's the big one. I think the other one that's the big main one is Joe Tooney going to Kansas City.
Yep, that was
you know,
big.
they lose both their tackles. They still got to replace both those tackles. We could talk about that maybe in the draft, but getting Joe Tooney, obviously, I wish the Bengals would have done that.
Yes, of course.
Coming from Ohio, it would have been really nice to sign an Ohio boy.
That's
but
right.
Didn't happen, and that's okay. But I mean, those two are great signings. We'll see where Trent Williams falls, potentially with.
Could be with the Colts.
I mean, we're
I'm
waiting on the
crossing my
Colts to make
fingers.
a single move.
I'm looking at PFF. They're grading. Y'all should check it out. It's a great site. They signed Matt Filer. The Chargers
Yes.
did was the other
out
pick.
of the Steelers.
3 years, $21 million. The Colts, it just literally skips right down to Jacksonville because they have no moves, literally no moves so far, other than having their guys poached by other teams like Danico Autry and Jacoby Brissette.
Juju's coming, Josh.
Hey,
I mean, if you got Trent
something.
Williams, though, seriously,
Just poke him
that's
with a
a
stick.
huge.
oh, of course.
huge.
I'd be thrilled. Give
Yep.
them all the money.
Y'all put a second round tender on Zach Pascal. I
Mhm.
saw.
Did we really?
Connor told me we played some golf today. Connor said that Ballard loves Pascal. I think there was a question to Ballard, like if you could have, if your players could be like any one, guy on your team, who would it be? And he said Zach Pascal.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great. Well, I mean, Pascal could be stepping into a bigger role. I think T.Y. Hilton's probably going to be signing. All the wide receivers are it's that office gift where they're all got the finger guns out and they're just staring at each other. That's what's happened.
Don't
They're all
act
just,
like you know the office, Josh.
I know the gifts.
No, you don't know TV. Remember last week?
Yeah, you don't know TV, do you? You don't know that stuff.
Okay, so we have some info from our boy DJ Keltown. Fitzpatrick has thrown a touchdown for 8 different teams.
Wow.
Nice.
It's 8 different teams.
Gotta be a record.
John Macri says PFF is trash, made up stats. Winky face.
Yeah, pressures aren't real.
Pressures aren't real. So let's move to IDP now, fellas. Adam, I just had to throw this one in here for you. Marcus Golden back to Arizona, was traded midseason to the Giants, or maybe cut and signed with the Giants. He was with the Giants for 7 games. Now back with Arizona. Sneaky great addition.
I love it, man. That's where Golden's done his best work there in Arizona. So yeah, I mean,
The defense,
Once
low
again,
key, be good.
not going to be the focal point, but he did much better once he went back to Arizona last year. So yeah.
That's right. So the big move, Zach, we'll talk about here. The Bengals were busy on defense. Trey Hendrickson, 4 years, $60 million. Chidobe Awuzie, 3 years, $21.75 million. And Mike Hilton, 4 years, $24 million. I know you got to be excited about the cornerbacks. We were talking about these 2 moves before we got on Mike. So let's save them, though. I want to hear your thoughts on letting Carl Lawson walk, bringing in Trey Hendrickson. Speak on it.
It's I don't remember who I saw on Twitter that put it this way, and I think it was a really good way of putting it. Carl Lawson is a freak athlete, and he is a disruptor. He is just absolutely. Whereas Trey Hendrickson was considered more of a finisher. And, you've got Cam Jordan on the other side in New Orleans, who's putting that pressure on for years. Hendrickson finished up a lot of those tackles. Not saying he's not great. I think he can be a good addition to the line, but he kind of fills a Sam Hubbard-esque feel. Now, I want to see what they're going to do with the defense, because you also got to think Carl Lawson's gone. WJ3, William Jackson III, just signed with Washington football team. You're losing Geno Atkins probably. We'll see how that plays out, but more than likely they're going to cut him for salary. So it'll be interesting to see how things go, because Hubbard can move around a little bit too, I think. So we'll see how that plays out. The cornerbacks losing, we knew we were going to basically, you paid 2 corners what you were going to get for William Jackson III. You got Awuzie, who's going to fill basically the CB2 role on the outside. Mike Hilton is one of the great slot corners in the league right now. I think he'll fill in for Mackenzie Alexander, who played there last year. As a Bengals fan, awesome. We got some more defense. That's great. We saw Joe Burrow get his knee destroyed.
That's right.
I want to see the
offensive line. Connor's with you on that.
If Bobby Hart is the right tackle for the Bengals starting next year,
you are going to kill someone.
I may go crazy.
Yeah,
like crazy.
Let me ask you this, Zach. Percentage chance, and I want you to give me your thoughts. Percentage chance that Joe Burrow starts week 1.
From everything that I'm seeing, 90 to 95%.
Oh, that's good. I want it to happen.
I think
I just am really worried with it basically being a full reconstructive surgery on the knee, right?
Yeah. Everybody has said everybody has said recovery process going smooth. We've seen some videos that it's going well. So, he doesn't seem like one who's going to be a huge talker in front of the media. So I don't know that we're going to get, he'll do his press conference as he's supposed to. We're not going to see like a Marshawn Lynch, but like he's not going to show a ton.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like a Dak Prescott who went out there the day after signing a contract showing, hey, look, I'm
probably going to be something we see in training camp.
Yeah.
If he's moving around. I hope so. I've said I think he probably starts the year on the pup, but I want him. I want him there week 1.
It does depend on who we have for an offensive line.
That's right.
If Bobby Hart's my
guys, I'm not doing as well in the rehab, and I would not blame him for that. So yeah, I think Cincy overpaid on the Trey Hendrickson. I probably would have rather had Carl Lawson stick around there, but I do like the cornerback moves a lot.
The one thing we said off mic was that the guaranteed money.
Yes.
There's a huge difference. And the way Cincinnati and Green Bay are very similar in how they structure their contracts. Trey Hendrickson's was less guaranteed over 4 years as opposed to Carl Lawson's over 3. I think
that is an important thing.
Sticking point.
Go for it.
Go. Yeah.
2 IDP things I think I kind of want to say real quick. Mike Hilton is really good for cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
He had 7 of his 11 games last year. He had double-digit scoring. I don't remember what he missed the middle of the year for, knee something. And then Trey Hendrickson, this makes you want to sell Cam Jordan, right? We're definitely not buying Marcus Davenport.
Oh,
no muscle definition whatsoever.
Yeah, he looks.
That
alarming.
ship has sailed.
What was what did it say on the gram? Broccoli to, what did it say?
Oh, broccoli stir fry.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought it was something along the lines of like, I don't know, one of these guys eats broccoli, the other guy eats stir fry. Well, Marcus been eating a little stir fry.
Marcus Davenport is outing himself as going from broccoli to stir fry over the past.
Didn't pay
2
attention
years.
to it too much, Adam.
Yeah, but I don't like the Trey Hendrickson deal. I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Lawson. I think Carl Lawson has a chance to explode. We've mentioned this before. He has a chance to go to another level. He's, I think, special.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Hendrickson's, he's solid. He's fine.
Yeah.
Nice DE2 for you.
That's what I said. I see this as low end DN2 for me alongside Hubbard. I do like that you have another white there. Got the pair of whites. So
yeah, they got the market cornered there.
Yes,
so.
Josh's twin, Sam Hubbard.
Yeah,
yes,
according to
right.
Allie. Yeah, let's not go back.
One of the hottest guys.
That's a good plug.
Sam Hubbard is super
is
handsome.
coming up.
I don't like this.
Plug it,
Josh. I was gonna say I will plug the Sode next week. The long-awaited hottest offensive players with Allie and Natalie is going to happen. They are very excited. They've done the prep. We had to bump it back, but it's coming next week. So look forward to that.
You'll be tuning in.
Yes, absolutely.
Damn right you will be. You also said, what did you say?
Mike Hilton.
Sell Cameron.
Sell Cam
Jordan.
Jordan.
We kind of, I think he was a buy for us on one of those episodes.
Probably.
I mean, I like him to have a bounce back. I feel like he had a down year.
Mhm.
I don't think that Hendrickson being gone is gonna.
Okay.
matter.
We'll see.
Okay.
Maybe
I think Hendrickson was helped out by having Cam Jordan.
I think they were all helped
Like
out
Aaron
by
Donald.
Marcus Davenport's
Yes, sir.
flabby 25% body fat. All right, Cleveland. Couple moves here. We'll talk about one in particular, but they signed Mr. Find Me Later, Tack McKinley, 1 year, $4.25 million. And the big winner for me so far, free agency on the IDP side, is John Johnson III, signing a 3-year, $33.8 million deal to be the safety alongside, I don't know, Ronnie Harrison, Grant. Are they going to run out 3 safeties, Addy? What are we thinking here?
Yeah,
Bringing
maybe
JJ in.
Maybe so. They might run a lot of 3 safety sets. I mean, we know that they don't have a lot there at linebacker. I mean, it's looking like
It's grim. Levante
Talkie
David was the hope.
and Jordan Phillips right now.
Jacob Phillips.
Jacob Phillips do that every time.
I would just want to go on Madden and make Jordan Phillips a linebacker for Cleveland now, just to see him running alongside his brother. Don't check that. It's maybe not true.
They definitely missed Joe Schobert from last year.
Yes.
Like, that was bad.
You think, I mean, yeah, he got tons of money in free agency, but you kind of wonder if they look back and like, maybe we should have just re-signed Joe.
Yeah, well, I mean, John Johnson's a really smart guy. He was actually the signal caller there in Los Angeles.
Yes, he wore the green dot.
So, I mean, I think that experience and kind of his, familiarity with that type of, did you see that? I kind of did the work there.
Familiarity.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Remember that one time?
I do. You wanted me to cut it out and I refused.
That was a nightmare.
That word is very hard.
It's very hard. I've seen other people struggle with it on
It's
like
like-
streams and stuff. And I'm like, yes, okay.
Yes, I'm good. It's like sacks are not a sticky stat. Like saying all those
Yeah.
S's in a row, you're bound to mess one of those up.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it again.
Don't say it. Familiarity.
Does Cleveland go to a 4-2-5 then?
I don't know, Zach. You tell us.
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, I think that's the way the league is heading. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to have
4-3,
and
yeah.
3-4. I think we're even getting away from with the speed on the outside. I think 4-2-5. They may be on the front edge of it, and I hope
It would
so.
make sense with their linebackers.
And I would certainly hope so. But, being the owner of John Johnson in our league,
I was going to say, this is arrow up for John Johnson. Bobby, arrow, excluding the fact that
I'd rather talk about Tack McKinley, Josh.
excluding the fact that Zach has John Johnson. Is it arrow up or arrow down?
No, I mean, I have John Johnson in a couple of sleeper leagues. And, dude, I think John Johnson he could be in consideration for maybe the DB1 this year. Shout out to Gary
The
Davenport.
DB1.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think John Johnson could be a borderline like linebacker this year. Because who else? I mean, Jacob Phillips, are we sure he's going to be anything? I mean, shout out to Macri. The freaking Cleveland Browns linebackers are hot garbage. I mean, they've been terrible. John Johnson's good. Addie's already said he was a play caller last year because they didn't have a linebacker in Los Angeles. If you're taking John Johnson from a similar situation to another similar situation, it was basically LA to Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland didn't really have a great linebacker last year. LA didn't have a really good linebacker last year. John Johnson
It's
called
a
the
very
plays.
similar situation.
It is
You're
very
right.
similar. I mean, I really do like John Johnson. I do hate that you own him, Zach. I'll let you continue to own him, but
I will be coming for him after the
Yeah,
soda is over.
just it's a matter of time.
Yeah, so Macri said I threw it out there on the chat. I said arrow up or down for John Johnson III. Macri said up. So I'm going with John Macri.
Oh, he's a Browns fan. I wouldn't trust him. Muscle pressure's in real.
I'm with Adam.
And think about the safeties in the AFC North now. You got Minka Fitzpatrick. You got Jesse Bates. You've got
Von
now-
Bell.
Yep, and
Mhm.
Von Bell with Bengals. I wasn't going to do 2 for the Bengals, but
Sure.
John Johnson. I don't know Baltimore. I'm not thinking right.
We have
off the top
Chuck
of my head.
Clark.
You have Chuck Clark.
Yeah, Chuck.
So,
That's,
I mean,
that's a good safety
that's
group.
a good safety group.
If we were still doing the battle royale, the AFC North may win the safety battle. That's really solid.
I will say too, though, Sneeko put me onto it a little bit this week. He said Delpit's a pretty big guy, so don't just peg Delpit to play deep.
Okay.
So
Maybe a thumper up in the box.
yeah, just kind of play the waves, kind of give it a couple weeks.
So a couple other moves here. We'll breeze through. Shelby Harris, Denver, 3 years, $27 million. Ronald Darby, nice little pickup by Denver, 3 years, $30 million. This was a big one. This is one I wanted for Indy. Romeo Okwara going back to Detroit, 3 years, $39 million. I was really hoping this was going to be one of the guys, him or Carl Lawson, that we went after in free agency, but he stays with Detroit, which is good. It's good to have building blocks to actually build around in a rebuild. Like, you can't rebuild if you have no blocks to build with. So glad to see them retaining Romeo Okwara. He was DN2 last year. I don't know if you guys realize that or not. Behind Myles Garrett.
It's crazy.
Regression is coming, right, Addy?
Yeah, 100%.
Only way to go is down from here,
Yeah, I think so.
especially once we get Nick Bosa, Danielle Hunter back into the mix.
Thank God.
His literal brother is there with
Yeah.
him in Detroit. Julian.
That's
Julian.
right.
Thank God Detroit actually pulled their head out of their tail and said, we should probably keep either him
Yeah.
or Kenny Galladay.
I don't know why they didn't tag Galladay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tag and trade.
Yeah.
Like you could have
Yeah.
gotten something for Galladay.
Bizarre there.
Yeah. So Aquara back with Detroit. I mean, we like stability, we like continuity, but I mean, Romeo Aquara is not going to finish as DN2. So if you can sell off of last year's production, I would encourage you to do so.
Mhm.
Houston, couple moves here. I just want to bring it up because it's one of our favorite names, Addy. It was Malik Collins, 1 year, $6 million deal. And then Kevin Pierre-Louis, 2 years, $7 million.
Kevin Pierre-Louis.
Our favorite French linebacker lands with the Texans. Let's talk about Jacksonville. They've been making some moves on the defensive side as well from the Chicago Bears. Robertson Harris. Remember that big game he had like week 1
Yeah,
a
last
couple years ago? Was it
2019.
2019? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the big waiver wire guy week
Yeah.
1.
We're all saying, is this guy for real?
I don't know. It
Top
could
5?
be. Yeah.
Roy Robertson?
Best IDP asset. As we're
Control F.
Yeah, as we're frantically
Harris.
Googling. 3 years, $24.4 million. Dwayne Smoot, 2 years, 14. Rayshon Jenkins, I believe, from the Los Angeles Chargers, 4 years, $35 million. Shaquille Griffin from Seattle, 3 years, $40 million. And I love this one. Very low-key signing. Zach, somebody you're very familiar with as a Bengals fan from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tyson Alu, 2 years, $6 million. How you like these moves?
Get him out of the
Get
AFC
him out
North.
of the
Goodness
AFC
gracious.
North.
I mean, he's a huge nose tackle. That to me is the underrated move of the 5 that we just mentioned.
I
'Cause
agree.
I think he's going to clog the center of the AFC South centers and guards.
That's right. So I love the Alu move as well.
And also, I mean, PFF wise, he was the 9th overall rated among defensive interior linemen. and
He
edge
was
rushers.
good.
9th overall. He didn't play a ton of snaps, obviously, but I mean,
Wow.
shit, he got 448.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That's
pretty
quality
solid.
snaps. Yeah. So I love it. PFF, like I said, has been grading every one of these signings. Roy Robertson Harris, they gave average. Jamal Agnew, that was offense, below average. Smoot, below average. Hyde, below average. So Jacksonville not doing too good. Rayshon Jenkins, poor. The tight end there that we didn't mention, Chris Manhertz, didn't know who that was. Below average. Shaq Griffin, below average. Tyson Alu, very good. So they get a passing grade on the Alu signing. So, it looks like the Urban Meyer era off to a little bit of a rocky start in terms of free agent signing grades, but you never know how this is going to pan out. We'll see how it goes. Former Jacksonville Jaguar Yannick Ngakoue lands a 2-year, $26 million deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. Bobby, you know these two edge rushers for the Las Vegas Raiders very well, and Max Crosby and Cleveland Farrell. Any effect on them with Yannick Ngakoue in town now?
I don't want any of these guys.
You don't?
I don't want Yannick, Crosby, or Farrell. Not buying any of them. I think in RSO, our position on these guys kind of gets skewed because of the money amount
That's true.
That's pegged to them. Crosby's now, shout out, a free agent.
That's true.
Bizarre situation. But even before then, I think he was like 1.9 million,
was
which
super
is really cheap. Farrell's like 900K. I don't know what Yannick is. I don't even know who owns Yannick, but I don't know. Maybe it helps somebody. Las Vegas is just so gross to me. Aside from Jonathan Abrams, I don't really want anybody there.
No, I think Yannick's overrated at this point. I mean, he is just strictly a pass rusher, not going to give you anything in run defense. Farrell, bust at this point.
Fourth overall.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're good.
We owe a lot of people Cokes in this room.
Yeah.
I mean, passed on guys like Sweat and Burns.
Passed on everyone.
All of them.
I mean, all of them.
Yeah.
Pick your favorite pass rushers from that.
So,
draft.
I mean, Crosby, I think most people are kind of out on him at this point. I mean, that's someone that I could maybe talk myself back into just because he was so banged up last year. Figure maybe he's due for a big year 3. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm staying away from all those guys. I mean, if you got to pick between the two, it's going to be Yannick and Crosby, though.
Even still, kind of shout out Mike W, because even prior to the 2020 season, that was kind of his big take of saying Crosby's not where his ADP is going to be.
That only happened because I don't remember what show it was, but they were cramming the Crosby love down his throat, and he's like, you know what? just to spite those people, I'm going to say fade the hell out of Max Crosby.
Love that.
So
Love that.
it was driven by bitterness, but hey, sometimes
That's what a lot of this analysis is out there,
Yeah.
folks. It's
Yeah.
just people. We got a lot of listeners, but we also got a lot of content creators that like to listen to us as well.
Mhm.
And
like to form their narratives off.
that's
of,
what they do. That's
I
what
know.
they do. So you're welcome.
I want to
Thanks
also
for
ask,
listening.
since I'm here for offensive line stuff, what is Las Vegas doing with their offensive line?
Mm.
They just released Rodney Hudson, who is one of the best centers.
Mhm.
They traded away Trent Brown.
for basically nothing.
They
Like
also-
a late round pick swap.
They got rid of another guard, and I'm blanking on his
Penn?
name.
Penn?
Donald
Yeah.
Penn,
I don't know if it was Donald Penn. I can't remember.
Vape Penn.
Gabe Jackson, maybe. That name's coming to mind. I don't know. Like, I look, someone put up the offensive line that they're going to be playing with right now. And look, the draft is deep. I'm like, what the hell are you going to play with? Like, David Carr should be running a Chick-fil-A right now. Like, I think that's one of his restaurants, whatever. I don't know. But, like, my gosh.
We'll see you guys later. I just wanted to point out that we're talking about these that's all I can think about right now is Chick-fil-A.
Oh, get it together, Josh.
Polynesian sauce right there. Gotcha.
We're talking about these Las Vegas defensive ends. Crosby did finish as DN15 last year.
He was
so
fine. He was
he's
solid.
a nice DN2. I think he got bumped up a little too high because of where he finished in 2019 for last season, but he's fine. He's a fine rotational player. But let's talk about some other moves here as well. Bobby, as a Rams fan, Leonard Floyd, 4 years, 64. You liking that with your Rams, $32 million over the cap?
Credit to Addy. Cap's not real.
That's all. That's it. That's the
Where-
it can't be.
Where are the Rams finding $64 million to give
They
Leonard Floyd?
got in the couch cushions.
In 2021.
They got in the couch
In
cushions.
this economy, Josh.
So that's the Bobby move. Dalvin Tomlinson from Minnesota, Addy, 2 years, $22 million. I
love
kind of
that.
like
I love
that move.
Dalvin Tomlinson is one of the better interior linemen
Very
in the league.
underrated.
Still young. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a guy that's not even 25 yet, I don't think. But yeah, this could mean that Pierce may be getting released.
Mhm.
Michael Pierce,
Who
who opted out last season,
who opted
right?
out last year. We also, speaking of a guy that just did that and was cut, was Damian Williams.
That's
I saw
right.
where he was cut today.
I think that had to be. There's something else going on there because Damian Williams was basically like nothing in terms of contract. So this was
Yeah.
not a contract savings.
And he was a,
Super Bowl
MVP pretty
MVP
much.
candidate. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
He was
there.
robbed.
That's right.
I will say this is bizarre for the Rams too, because most of the time what you do is you let Aaron Donald build some guys up and then you let somebody else take on their
That's
next
right.
contract.
Yeah.
You don't
Catch
pay
and release. To
exactly.
use a fishing term.
But I guess considering the Rams situation, they don't really have Terrell Lewis behind him has some type of lingering knee issue that won't go away. Samson Ebukam, maybe we'll talk about it in a minute, is gone to San Francisco. Ogbonnia Okorongwo has not been great. There's another.
No, he hasn't.
Uh,
Very disappointed in Okariki.
Morgan Fox has been, he's all right.
that was the guy I was thinking about. So maybe there's just nobody around him, and they just.
You're right. They're just like, we're tired of letting these guys go. Let's just have
Yeah.
some
Let's just
fellas
keep
for a
one.
while.
Yeah.
But 4 years, $64 million for Floyd versus 2 years, $12 million for
I didn't write the check, Zach.
Samson. I mean,
I didn't do it.
Wouldn't you rather have Ebukam for cheaper?
Why not just go get? Imagine Carl Lawson and Aaron Donald.
Ebukam,
I don't want to imagine that. That's awful.
I would rather.
Leonard, 4 years, $64 million. Like, where are they finding this?
And why?
Is it like
guys, I don't know.
They know. We know why he had that great year.
Let
It's
me call
because
him.
he was
call
right
Les
next to
Snead
Donald.
right now?
Hey, Les. Yeah, you're on the Big Three
Yeah.
IDP podcast. Yeah,
He's like, I've been waiting for my invite.
Why'd you do it?
Yeah, why? All right, let's get into some of these New England moves here, fellas. That was takes us through to New England. Like I said, just as many defensive moves as offensive. It seems like Devon Godshaw, 2 years, $16 million. This was the big one here. Matthew Judon, 4 years, $65 million. Jalen Mills, 4 years, 24. Henry Anderson, 2 years, 7. And they re-signed Dietrich Wise, 4 years, $22 million. Fellas, do you like any of these moves?
No.
I think it's just, I guess, kind of head scratching as the offensive side.
what did Barrett sign for?
So Barrett signed for 4 years, 68. So Judon got about the same money as Shaq Barrett. Do not like that at all.
Good.
And the same as Leonard Floyd.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah. We don't view Judon at that level.
Yeah.
Not at all. He's not at Shaq Barrett's level at all. He's a couple rungs
He
below.
was like 5th or 6th. I mean,
He could
for me, like
he could be like Trey Flowers now, just kind of around, not really doing anything. I don't know. Has Judon been owned in a lot of the leagues y'all are in? Like not the deeper leagues, but like,
I mean, he had it down. You know, he definitely was a guy that was drafted probably as like a linebacker 3 or 4 last year because he had a really, he had one of those big sack years that last year in Baltimore. But I mean, once they brought someone that was actually decent in there, he didn't produce. He didn't produce with Yannick and Calais there.
I always like looking to see for context. So he is listed as a linebacker in our main league, and I always like seeing where do these players finish, and then who are they between, essentially, just to kind of place it in your mind. Because I could say, oh, Matthew Judon was linebacker 56, but what does that really tell you? He was between Christian Kirksey and Troy Reader. So to get your reader
who played like 3 games.
Yeah. He had 3 monster weeks, and that was it.
So not a move I'm excited about.
Both sides of the ball very familiar there for New England as far as these signings. I mean, Jonnu and Judon are kind of similar to where it's like, athletic, maybe good. I don't know. Give them a bunch of money. But the rest of these guys is like,
it's just like, who were they bidding against?
Exactly.
It's like, why did we have to give Judon that much? Jalen Mills also? Like, it's like
4
years,
like 24.
It's like they found out like his nickname was Green Goblin. And they're like, oh, the Green Goblin. Let's lock him up.
We need the Goblin here. We got Spider-Man coming in. We need a nemesis. I don't know. It reminds me of like the kid, like in the candy store. If you gave them $20, like that money is burning a hole in their pocket, and they're going to spend every last dime of it.
It's me at the end of an auction draft when Austin Colley's still out there, and I'm like, I've got $44 out of 200. I'm going to lock up Austin Colley, not thinking about, hey, that's how much he's got to be next year. You dummy.
Yeah. And I'm sure most of these contracts really, even though that says 4 years, 56, like we've seen with a lot of these, it's really about the guaranteed money. That's probably a 2-year deal.
Yeah. A lot of these, that's what I heard Greg Rosenthal on the Around the NFL podcast saying. Pretty much every New England deal was 2 years in terms of the guaranteed money. So I think you'll see a lot of these guys getting cut. Let's talk about the New York teams, though, fellas. And Zach, we'll get your take here officially on Carl Lawson signing with the New York Jets, 3 years, $45 million. The Jets also signed Tyrod Davis from the Detroit Lions for 1 year, $7 million. And then the New York Giants re-signed Leonard Williams for 3 years, $63 million. An interesting note on Leonard Williams. He's a defensive tackle, or he was. I think he actually got switched to defensive end, but he was defensive tackle 3 in our league last year. Would have been defensive end number 2 if you just copied and pasted over his scoring. So, Bobby, you think Leonard Williams is potentially a fade candidate here coming off of his 2020 production?
No.
Okay.
I still like Leonard Williams. I think that's smart of New York to keep him. They've had a lot of problems with the defensive line for several years now, and he's been kind of the only bright spot. I don't really know. I'm not going to buy him at that price, but he is kind of forgettable. People are not going to, his ADP is not going to be very high. That's just one of those people, kind of a boring name, kind of a boring position.
I think he still has the stink on him from the Jets.
100%. He's going to be forgotten. And that's almost going to be one of those people that you really need to like throw in your queue because,
we will forget about.
Absolutely. When it gets later on in the draft, you're going to be like, dang, Leonard Williams is still available.
Plug him into your lineup, especially if he's still listed as a D tackle.
And he was the one we talked about last week, not getting tagged. And we were like, which of these guys would you want to keep?
Yes.
Yeah.
And still, he's just 26.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he didn't live up to expectations because he's still, figuring things out.
Yeah.
Could have a nice second half to his career.
Yes. That's usually when those guys explode.
Yeah.
So I threw it out there on the chat, rank the 3 Las Vegas edge rushers. I'm going to throw it up on the screen from our baby John Macri. Went Crosby, Ngakoue, Farrell, all Barfworthy. No thanks. So
Agree.
I think John's got it right. So we don't have to talk about Tyrod Davis, Zach, but now with Carl Lawson installed in New York as sort of this premier pass rusher, we know they haven't had a competent pass rusher in 15 plus years. It seems like New York is the perfect place for Carl to take this step forward. How are you feeling about his prospects, especially in the IDP world, now that he's landed with the Jets?
I think one, that the New York media is going to love him. He is such a good interview. I think if I've seen it once, I've seen it 500 times from all the Bengals beat writers. They're going to miss him the most. I think it'll be interesting to see what the Jets do in the draft. because I think he's going to need somebody else. I think he's going to create a lot of havoc. But a lot of times when he's creating havoc, he's getting double teamed, anything along those lines. It's going to lead to sacks for other people. And if nobody else on the Jets line is getting pressure, that's going to be a problem.
You have Quentin Williams there, so you do have potentially a clogger in the middle there.
Who's the other edge rusher right now?
Man, I don't know.
Jabari Zuniga.
Is it Zuniga?
I don't know how much he played, but he was somebody that I kind of bought high on last year. I don't know. He's still young.
I don't like that defense was not good.
I mean, I think he's a building block piece for that defense.
I agree.
And I think he fits perfectly into Salah's offense or into Salah's defense. Sorry.
You have a defensive head coach there. It was a great landing spot. He got paid. He's going to have opportunity. He's got a great coach. He is the guy.
I mean, I hope he stays. The only thing is I hope he stays healthy because that has been the one thing throughout the few years with the Bengals was that you couldn't. And honestly, that's why they didn't invest. Bengals are already talking about extensions for Hubbard and for Bates. They weren't having those conversations with William Jackson III and with Lawson because they both had injury concerns up until this year.
Yep.
And so I hope he stays healthy because I think he could be the face of that defense.
I agree.
Really do. I really do.
Addy, I know. Are you Carl Lawson? This is your dude. Lands, I think, in a really good spot. I wrote in my notes here, if he's going to take that next step, the New York Jets seem like the perfect place to do so.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I mean, yeah, exactly the same. With you just Salah, I mean, this is a perfect fit. Both those guys are, just types that get you fired up. He's going to love having Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson just plays angry. So he's going to go over really well there. But yeah, I mean, I expect him to add another edge rusher.
Yeah, I threw it out to our boy Macri, just as like, hey, John, help us. Who is the other Jets edge rusher? And he came in with, I like Bryce Huff as a deep sleeper, but they got to go get someone else, though. Zach is right.
And John Franklin Myers is fine inside as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're
Tyrod Davis.
Tyrod. A lot of people said that, or have thought that Detroit used him out of position, and he was a guy that was, highly drafted,
first round draft pick.
Matt Patricia using someone out of position,
right? I know,
surely not,
right?
Not old pencil boy.
Never heard that before, but I mean, we know how productive those linebackers are there for fantasy. So I mean, Davis has a chance to be finally IDP relevant. They also paid him. I mean, 1 year, $7 million.
If he's going to be relevant,
it's now.
Well, and think about those San Francisco linebackers too, because that's the defense that's going to be coming over.
Yep.
And that's who you want as the middle linebacker for the San Francisco defense.
CJ Mosley's back in the mix, even though he could, I've heard, be on the trading block.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's teams are inquiring now with the Tyrod Davis signing. They are inquiring after Mosley. I think the Jets would be happy to ship him out of town. So if that happens, boy, oh boy, Tyrod Davis looking very nice there in that linebacking core.
Like we mentioned a few episodes ago, I think everyone else there is leaving outside of
that's right,
Mosley.
Yes.
And I think it'll be interesting with the Jets with their second first-round pick. There's going to be a lot of edge rushers because the quarterbacks are going to clog up the top that normally would go in the top 10 that could fall to them there. And then all of a sudden you've got a really good scenario because that's what San Francisco does. They get those defensive linemen in the first round, and that's how they made their money for years.
Yes.
Watch what New York does here. That could be what happens.
You think if the Jets stick it to, are they going Zach Wilson?
I think that's the $1 million question. If they stick it to, I do think they go with Wilson.
That's where my money's at right now.
But I don't think they're going to stick it to.
Yeah, we'll talk trade up, trade down. Let's wrap up these free agents here. San Francisco did some moves, mainly bringing back guys. Samson Ebukam, like we mentioned, 2 years, $12 million. Jason Verrett, good to see him get his career back on track after a lot of injuries. 1 year, $5.5 million deal. Emmanuel Mosley, 2 years, 9.4. Let's talk the defending Super Bowl champions. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers bring back Levante David. Sorry to every other team, Addy. I'm thrilled. Levante David is back in Tampa Bay. He gets to defend the title. For his IDP value, still top 12. Probably will be drafted outside of that because he continuously gets slept on. I also like it for Devin White's value because now White gets to pin his ears back and go rush the passer. We mentioned Shaq Barrett, 4 years, $68 million. That's less than I thought Shaq would get. I thought Shaq could possibly get a 5-year, $100 million deal.
I think he could have.
I think he could have. I think he gave Tampa Bay a little bit of a hometown discount. And there
Definitely
is
did.
something to be said for continuity and for a chance to go, chase another ring. So I get it. So, but I'm glad he finally got paid. I'm glad we weren't dancing around with this franchise tag nonsense anymore. Hopefully he's an edge or a defensive end in your league. He's a linebacker in ours, finished as linebacker 37 between Nicholas Morrow and Danny Trevathan. If you just copied and pasted, not even if you applied the scoring settings, you just copy and paste his stats over, you would have been higher if you'd had him scored as a defensive end, but he would have been defensive end 15. Strangely enough, between Jason Pierre-Paul and Max Crosby. So hopefully Shaq Barrett has that defensive end or edge designation in your league because he's so much more valuable there. So anything on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I think we all kind of expected Levante David to be back, but I'm glad Shaq Barrett's back in the mix as well.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, they only had $30 million, I think, when free agency started. And they somehow were able to keep Godwin, David, and Barrett. So
yep, and
shout out to Brady
and Gronk.
And Gronk.
That's what I was about to say. It's kind of like the Rams. Where are they getting all this money from?
And they want Fournette. Yeah,
Yes.
they want Fournette back.
The Pats and Seahawks are making a hard charge for Lombardi, Lenny, but I think he sticks with Tampa Bay unless they're just blowing Tampa Bay's offer out of the water with money.
Yeah.
But if it's equal, I think Tampa Bay gets the nod there. So Tennessee, let's wrap up here. Danico Autry, 3 years, $21.5 million. And I think this is the biggest number I've seen, but it is a 5-year deal. Bud Dupree, 5 years, $82.5 million. Bobby, we knew the Titans needed to upgrade their pass rush in 2020. They just bet on the wrong dudes. And Jadeveon Clowney and Vic Beasley. Will Dupree and Autry pan out better than Clowney and Beasley did? I feel like that's starting at a very low floor, but what's your pulse here on these two additions?
I'm still kind of uninterested in either of these guys. I mean,
Yeah, me either.
Autry's okay. Bud Dupree, when did he get hurt?
December.
I was gonna say
Torn ACL December.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I mean, even going into this year, he's
8-month recovery. He
Yeah.
could be ready for the start of the season,
He's
but
28.
yeah.
that's a lot of money for a 28-year-old.
I don't know. I'm still high on Jeffrey Simmons.
Yes, this doesn't change my thoughts on Simmons.
Harold Landry's solid.
Yeah,
It does give Landry a nice running mate now with Bud Dupree.
Yep.
that Tennessee defense is still gonna suck this year, though.
Yeah.
No Adoree Jackson now.
Adoree Jackson
There's a
got
Jayon
cut.
Brown.
Jayon Brown still has not been re-signed yet,
Logan
even though
Ryan's
it sounds like
gone.
they want him back.
Yeah,
Yeah, Logan Ryan out the door with now with the New York Giants.
Malcolm Butler is the guy, though, that was there last year.
Yep,
That's right.
gone as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it's we'll see.
I mean,
Vaccaro was
yeah.
also.
Kenny Vaccaro.
Cut. Yep.
I do kind of like Bud Dupree with Harold Landry. It kind of feels like Bud Dupree with TJ Watt a little bit. I feel like there's a little bit of a combo there with Tennessee, seeing how they play him. Could play.
Are you interested in IDP though at all?
Dupree? No.
Yeah, it just
Landry,
seems.
yes.
Man,
I think it raises Landry up, and I think Dupree.
I
falls.
would agree with that. I guess who would you rather have of Bud Dupree and Harold Landry? I'm probably coming down on the Landry side.
Yeah, I don't know. Redraft probably Bud, honestly.
Bud got that quiche.
What's Clowney doing? He's still hanging around.
He's still hanging
out
around
there, yeah.
huh?
But yeah, Bud got $35 million guaranteed. So I mean, you can figure that's probably a 2-year deal because
Yeah.
they're not going to be paying that dude like $15 million plus
No.
when he's 31, 32.
No.
As a Colts fan, what's the Titans' window? Can they win this year, next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Even with this defense.
yeah.
And
I mean,
the
'cause-
offense has lost quite a bit.
Yeah. No Corey Davis, no Jonnu Smith. You're going to roll out Anthony Ferkser.
well, you look at
Henry's a year older.
You look
Yeah.
at, okay, I think Jacksonville is building something nice. I don't think they're going to be competing this year, though. The Colts depends on wins. I mean, this is either a Phillip Rivers 2.0 where we get a nice 11-5 season and we're, punching above our weight in the playoffs, or it's 5 or 6 win operation. I mean, we saw with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia what that can look like. So, and then if Deshaun Watson is in Houston,
Yeah.
I still don't think that's more than like a 5 or 6 win team. And if he's not there, they're probably a 1-16 operation if we go to a 17 game schedule. So the Texans, I think, just by default are in my mind the favorite right now
The
because
Titans are?
yes,
Hmm.
because they have. It depends on Deshaun, but even with Deshaun, I usually default to the best quarterback in the division. That's my favorite team.
You're delusional.
But
You're delusional, Josh.
Well, do you like the Colts?
The
there?
Colts are so much better than the Titans.
I mean,
I'm not a Wentz guy. I'm really not a Wentz guy, but they have so many freaking pieces. Offensive line, running back, wide receivers, whole defense. Rodrigo. Blankenship.
Yes, sir.
Rocket ship.
Oh my
Goggles.
gosh, man. If Wentz is average, they're going to be a good team.
That's the problem is I hope he is, but he was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year. So that's his floor. His floor is like quarterback 30 or 31.
In Wentz's defense, though, he has played the last couple of years with basically no
And a
wide
dysfunctional
receivers.
head coaching relationship. So I agree.
Is-
The ingredients are there for a better season.
Is Alshon going to play? Is he not going to play? Is Deshaun going to have a tweaked ankle or is he not?
I think they're both gone, aren't they?
Both Deshaun and
But I'm just saying
Alshon?
with Wentz, like those were his
Oh, yeah,
last
yeah,
couple
those
of
are
years.
his top
like,
two quote unquote wide
Goddard,
receivers.
Ertz, who's going to be there? I don't know. I can understand why Wentz is frustrated, but I think you're going to be moderately surprised with Carson Wentz.
I think it's close. I think it's very close. But obviously, we know right now Tannehill for sure is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. That could change. I hope it does change for the Colts' sake because you got Jacoby Brissette as the backup.
the freaking JT owners here in the Sode Shack. Huh? Do we want to talk about it?
I'm happy.
You get out of here. You
All right.
animal.
You all trade them to me. Like, it's not like I drafted all these. I didn't have the
Move on,
picks.
Josh. Move on.
Let's get to the draft preview. I am excited to talk about these guys because it's a blind spot when we get to the actual NFL draft. I'm like, I don't know how I should feel about this, this offensive lineman that just went. Is that, should I be as excited about this wide receiver or running back as I am this lineman? So I know the top guy here from Oregon, Zach, but talk us through these offensive linemen. It looks like you got some ranks from PFF here. So hit us with who you see as the top offensive lineman in this draft.
So we mentioned earlier, this is really one of the deepest classes when it comes to offensive line strength. And I've got them separated by offensive tackle and interior offensive line. This, in my opinion, this draft has probably 3 generational talents.
All right.
You don't ever really see that. And I'm not talking offensive line. I'm talking in general. I think you've got Trevor Lawrence, who's I think everybody understands it. I'm not saying anything different.
Blue chip.
Blue chip.
Right.
There you go.
I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a generational. He has me a little worried. I get the feels of Kellen Winslow a little bit.
I could see that.
A little bit, but I'm pretty sold with everything I saw. And Penei Sewell.
Yep.
I think when you look at those 3, those are your generational talents, and you grab them up as soon as you can get them. Penei Sewell is just this. I mean, he's I think 19. He's gonna be 20. He's got great footwork. He's athletic. He's smart. He has great punch ability. He's able to make up for a missed first step, or if there's someone coming through on a crossing pattern with defensive tackle and end. He's
a can't miss prospect.
He's elite. I don't want to say I can't think back to like maybe a Joe Thomas, maybe an Orlando Pace out of Ohio State when he went to the Rams number 1. I mean, that's the type of level that I think we're at with him.
Right.
I mean,
I had you muted because you were eating a Reese's.
Praise.
I mean, really, he is. And I'm as a Bengals fan, I hope that the Bengals draft him. I think that would
At
be
5, do you think there's a possibility he's there?
Oh yeah. I think that there's. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm sold on it because I think that Atlanta could go there. Who knows? I don't know, but I think that there's a really good chance.
Miami could.
Miami.
I've
could,
seen like
but
Jamar Chase there a lot.
Jamar Chase. I feel like they're going to go.
Aren't you
Jamar
going
Chase.
offensive lineman to keep Tua upright? I mean, that just makes the most sense to me.
You would think, but they've also got 2 picks too. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like to me Sewell is. If I were putting the big board together, would Sewell be number 2 behind Trevor Lawrence?
I would.
Yeah.
And I would. I think it just depends on the team. I think some teams would have him number 1.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chiefs probably have number 1.
Bengals would have him number 1. They're happy with Joe Burrow. They're not going to go Trevor Lawrence.
You guys should, think about maybe trading up.
Yeah.
We're not trading up.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, maybe get like 1 or 2 picks ahead. Like try and get a 3.
But you'd have to give up a second and a third, and with as many holes as we have on offense and defense, not going to happen.
I think you could sit at 5 and potentially get Sewell.
They're going to either sit at 5 and get Sewell, they're going to get Pitts, or they're going to get Chase.
Are we
They're gonna be fine
thinking
with any of the
Pitts
3.
goes top 10?
Top 10, yes. 100. I think everything I've seen is he's going to go top 10.
Jeez, a tight end in the top 10.
It's
pretty
to the
special.
Patriots.
Hawkinson, what do they do?
Wouldn't that be amazing? They're like, we are going all tight ends,
I
no
changed
wide
my
receivers.
evaluation on Jonnu Smith if that happens.
Don't they
Yes.
have the 10th pick?
So the Patriots are
maybe.
sitting no
14.
they're sitting at 15.
Oh,
15,
man.
Yeah, so he will not be available there.
I mean, Hawkinson was a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
So let's rip through. That's a good point, Addy.
I
Great
agree
point.
with what you're saying, though, Zach. You've just lost your quarterback to a pretty catastrophic knee injury. Let's show him how important he is to us and get him one of the best offensive linemen out in a long time.
And I don't know if he'll stay at left tackle or if he'll move to right tackle. We'll see.
Or now do you use that 5th pick for a second quarterback?
Hashtag Green Bay.
You know,
You know.
you never know. You know, maybe light a fire under Mr. Burrow.
We better get that knee right.
Maybe Trey Lance can play offensive line.
Yeah, huh? All that
So-
gel in his hair.
Cigar smoking.
So Zach, other offensive linemen of this list here, it looks like you got about a dozen or so ranked in the top 77 for PFF.
Yeah.
Give me 2 or 3 guys you're most excited about.
Ooh, to me, Rashawn Slate, that's tough. The top 3, I think, are upper echelon. That's a clear tier 1. So the top 3 to me are Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. Funny thing is, both Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater both sat out this year.
Did they really?
They both did, yes. And
wow.
so I
guess they're fresh.
they're fresh. And I think, we may get to that a little bit later. I think there's a really cool scenario of there are some people who stay the same or it even help them sitting out. And I'm not going to judge people for sitting out during a global pandemic, but there were others who lost draft spots for sitting out.
But the coaches are like, these boys are soft.
Yeah, well-
I want them who's in there breathing on each other.
I mean,
You may not judge them, but them coaches, Dan Campbell ain't taking nobody who sat out.
let me tell you this.
Guarantee you that.
Penei Sewell, I'm not going to even try to call him soft. I'd be scared to death to see him. No,
Yeah, he'd uppercut my head into
Yeah,
the stratosphere.
I'm good. Rashawn Slater, I think, is whether he's going to play. He played tackle at Northwestern. I think he's probably a tackle guard. I'm not sure exactly where he'll end up, but he's going to be great. Christian Darrisaw, I think if the Bengals trade out, because I think they're going to trade down, not trade up.
Ooh, okay.
That could be one that if they get with someone, let's say a Washington or a New England, who trades up from 15 to get a quarterback prospect at 5, that could be something that they look for. Christian Darrisaw in that round. The later ones,
I've heard what about this Leatherwood? I just love that name.
he's a mountain of a man. And when you've
How big
played,
is this guy? I'm
he's
gonna
played
look this guy up.
for
Alabama.
The
played
name
for
like
3 or 4
Leatherwood.
years. I mean, he's played forever. Forever. It feels like they played forever.
6'6", 312
Yeah, I
pounds.
mean, he's a big man.
True,
And
he's
he-
big.
I don't know if he's a right tackle like an Andre Smith out of Alabama, or if he's going to kick inside. I don't know. The one that's interesting, I did not have Walker Little as highly as PFF did at number 40 on their draft board this year. He's had a lot of injuries. I think that he has first round talent, but he's had a lot of injury problems. I think Brady Christensen is one in the late rounds to look for. He is the number 1 graded offensive tackle in all of college football last year. By PFF. So I think that's one. He's out of BYU, so he protected Zach Wilson's blind side. So I think that's one to potentially look at.
Number 1 PFF grade. Wow.
Out of all offensive tackles.
Was he really?
Interesting.
So why is he not higher on their board here? Is he a little undersized or something?
I think he's a little undersized. And I'm not going to
He's
sit
a
here.
runt.
They don't trust their own ratings.
We got this guy 1, but we might have been drunk.
I think that and I'm not going to sit here and act like I've watched a ton of Brady Christensen tape. I watched him play against D'Angelo Malone, WKU versus BYU against another NFL prospect. Did really well.
There you go.
So I think he's strong. I don't know that he's got some flaws probably.
He'll get drafted though.
Oh, he's going to get drafted.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The other ones that I like, I think, Liam Eichenberg, I think out of Notre Dame is a really good one. I obviously like Elijah Vera Tucker and Tevin Jenkins, but those are going to be end of first round picks. There's going to be a huge run, I think, at the start of the second round.
Give me over under on offensive linemen, guard or tackle or center even that go first round. Over under. What are we setting the line at? 32 picks, obviously.
5.
5.
I would say 5. Yeah.
5. Okay.
4 to 5 is 4.5.
Okay, 4.5. I'm going to go over. I think that offensive, if that's a deep position, I could see it. Oh, well, we'll wait and get him in the second. But man, it just feels like teams are starting to wise up a little bit and take these, these important positions. And offensive line is extremely important, especially with these young signal callers that we got in the league right now. We want to protect these guys.
The only thing I would say to that is the end of that first round, teams realize how important that 5th year is.
That's right.
And it's much more valuable for a running back, receiver, quarterback or even a corner
Good point.
than it is an offensive lineman. And
Good
so
point.
I think you're going to see a huge rush. I think, in my opinion, I would see Sewell, Slater, Darisol, probably Vera Tucker, and maybe Wyatt Davis gone at the end of the first round.
Okay. And Wyatt Davis, you have, is it guard?
Number 1 guard, yeah,
Okay.
out of Ohio State.
All right.
Then I think there is a huge run at the start of the second. I think you would see if Vera Tucker or Jenkins isn't gone, Dylan Radden's out of North Dakota State, Cosme out of Texas, Leatherwood, Little, Carmen out of Clemson.
Alabama's got a ton of guys on here. Landon Dickerson, Deontay Brown.
The 2 centers that are in this draft, Landon Dickerson and Creed Humphrey, they are really good prospects.
Zach just turns that film on when he needs to unwind. Put on a bourbon with some ice.
Hey,
and
tell me about Creed.
Tell me, yeah. Can you take them higher?
These two guys, they will be able to center an offensive line for a decade plus. That's how they're going to be. But here's the thing, you remember 4 years ago, we were sitting in your living room and you were like, why the hell are we drafting a guard out of Notre Dame?
That's true.
And I
was not happy.
And I said, he is a generational talent.
Uh-huh.
And I'm telling you, like I said, Penei Sewell, I think is a generational talent, but Dickerson and Humphrey, they're going to be, and I'm not saying that I'm not throwing it at it, but I'm just saying when it comes to offensive line, I think Dickerson and Humphrey are going to be really, really good. So
can't you tell we're in a different generation of children now? We got a Tevin, we got a Walker, a Liam, a Creed, a Penei. Ain't no Joshes, ain't no Adams.
Yeah, we got Elijah. We got a Rayshawn.
That's a rad name. Dylan Raduns.
Where was that guy?
Samuel
North
Cosme.
State.
I like Drake Jackson.
Alex.
Hey, okay, so talk to me about Quinn
Minres. Yeah.
Minres. Was he the guy snapping the ball into the trash can with the mullet in his backyard?
Mm.
I don't know.
I saw a fun video of and I thought it was this guy.
It was AJ Johnson, Josh.
AJ Johnson.
Wood chipper.
Not chopping down trees. He was hiking a ball into a trash can.
This guy, so from University of Wisconsin Whitewater, Warhawks, fun little name.
Love that.
Yeah,
that's a fun name.
He really showed out during the Senior Bowl, and he went skyrocketing up.
Yes,
boards.
this is the guy I saw.
Yeah, he went skyrocketing up boards during Senior Bowl.
I'm
not going to sit here. I have not seen tape on him, but everything that I got from O-line people. Which, side note, I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but they're going to be coming out with an O-line camp like Gruden's quarterback camp.
Yes, I heard this. Who
And
was the player that put this out on Twitter that he wanted to do it?
It was. I've seen it several places.
Baldy.
Remote.
No.
Was it?
I'll look it up while you.
Joe Thomas.
Thank you.
Could have been Joe Thomas, but I think it was another player.
But it's
Saturday.
I am legit, and they've already got
Sunday.
most of the guys that I've mentioned have already agreed to be on this. So I'm really intrigued. I think that hopefully people's O-line knowledge will grow a little bit because it's one area that people just don't realize. They think they're big fat guys that go out there and block, and there's a lot of intricacies to it that most people don't think through.
Well, we might maybe put in a word for you, see if they wouldn't give you a call. Maybe
They're not
go
gonna
down
give me
there.
any calls.
Hey, you don't know about that. We got a lot of pull.
We got some pull.
Hey, we are influencers, thought leaders.
Hey, so which one of these guys was the Senior Bowl you were talking about?
That would be Quinn Miners.
So it's kind of similar to Adam, kind of didn't really do a lot in high school,
Sure.
but then that pro day tape came out,
That's right.
freaking shot
Combine.
up the freaking charts.
What'd you run in the 40? Like a 6'8"?
Six,
6'7"?
That's a little. I don't know that I was in the sixes. I feel like I was like 5'9", something like that.
I don't know about that. I think that was your height.
Well,
Measuring that at 5'9".
that's really good free throw shooter though.
That you were. Precipitation. You can Google it. It's out there. You can find it on YouTube.
Hey, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Just Adam Markham Combine video. All right, so Zach, we mentioned the offensive tackles that you would be excited for. Let's talk about these interior guys quickly. Obviously, you'd be thrilled with Sewell there at 5. which of these interior guys would you love the Bengals to scoop up maybe in like round 2 or in one of the later rounds? Do you have a favorite?
I'd be thrilled with either Landon Dickerson or Creed Humphrey. Not saying that Trey Hopkins isn't a serviceable center, and he is, but he just had a major ACL injury. When he comes back, I'd love for him to play right guard, which he was rated higher at than center. Plug in one of those. Those are both plug and play guys. I would be happy, honestly, with anybody that I listed there.
All right.
But that also shows that we had no guard.
I was going to say the offensive line was terrible.
Oh, that was a rough year to watch.
It was
poor
hard.
guy.
I really did not like to watch it because it was just like a ticking time bomb.
Mm.
All right. Who could trade up and who could trade back? Zach, you got some interesting teams here.
Yeah. I think there's probably 4 teams that could trade back.
All right. Let's talk through them.
I think, I think some of these it's going to take a massive package for several of these to move. So like New York Jets, Atlanta Falcons, Cincinnati, Houston, Miami at 3 could move back too. I think those are all, and I think it's going to be teams that need a quarterback. So, I'm looking at Atlanta. Do they want to go quarterback right now?
They could.
Or are they okay with Matt Ryan for another year? Let's see if we can get.
The GM said they wanted to bring in quarterback competition.
Which
I don't know what that means, but.
And I think there could be some quarterbacks that are there in the second round, third round for him. And so I think if you can get a first this year and a first next year, who knows, that first next year may be the quarterback that you're looking for.
Exactly right. Now, it's important to note, Houston does not have a first round pick. They are devoid of picks.
That's
right.
That was a bad Zach.
They would trade back. Now, they would probably be the team to trade up. They would be on the trading up end if they had any picks to give, but they do not. They would be smart to trade back.
Bend over.
What happened was I saw Miami at 3 and saw it was Houston's original.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's what happened.
Hey, just save it. Just get your ass bent over if you would.
I'm sorry.
So trading up. It seems like you got a lot of teams on this list that are quarterback needy. And so Carolina, San Francisco, Denver, New England, Philadelphia, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Miami.
Don't do Miami. That was bad.
Taking Miami out. They're
bad.
MIA on this list now.
Yep, they're gone.
Great job by me. Pivoting there. So, okay. So you've listed these teams. Give me one of these 7 that you think you are. If you had to put down money in Vegas, who's moving up?
See, it's tough because you got to have the partner, and
That's right. And you got to have the dance partner.
You've got to be able to. I mean, I think. Who you thinking?
I'm understanding.
You gotta have
it
two
takes
to
two to
tango.
tango.
I knew where he was going.
This is what happens, Zach.
That's
Later
all right.
on in the sods, their brains start to devolve back to like caveman
you
status.
brought me the monster. That's what you done.
I
You done
did do
this.
that. That's my fault.
Mixing beer and Monster. It's like he's high, then he's low, then he's high, then he's low.
I think
Fun
if
to
I'm
watch.
looking, I do think Carolina may move up, and it's not going to cost them as much.
It depends on the Deshaun Watson thing. That's the thing.
That's
Carolina and San Francisco and Denver are all in the mix for Watson, if indeed he is available. So
I think Carolina is the spot for Watson. If they don't go New York, if he doesn't go to New York or Miami, I think those. And so to me, that once that piece is gone, then I think we can really figure out who's going to trade up and trade back. Because to me, Carolina right now, I could see it going Lawrence at 1, Wilson at 2. Then you see potentially Trey Lance at 3.
Ooh, you think he jumps Justin Fields?
I think he does. And I think Justin Fields could go. I don't think Atlanta's going to take him at 4, but I think someone could trade up to try to get.
I've seen him mock there a couple places.
That could happen. And then I think before we see it, I think you're going to see Mac Jones rising up boards.
Okay.
I think you're going to see, and Mac Jones to me is a sneaky pick for New England.
That's what I think Connor said that months ago. Like, it just feels like a Patriots move, right?
Saban and Belichick love each other.
That's true.
I'm telling you. And then don't forget about guys like Kyle Trask. I think that there's some picks there that could work out. So over under there, I think it could be 5 or 6 quarterbacks this year. And so I think that's going to lead to some of those earlier teams. If I'm Cincinnati, man, I would trade back.
Are you trading back if you're the GM of the Bengals?
It depends on where.
If you get a good offer.
It depends on where the offer is.
Yeah.
I think I'm more apt to trade, San Francisco, Denver, New England as I am Pittsburgh.
Okay. Here you go. Tough situation. You're on the clock. It's the movie draft day, so the phone is blown. I watched that recently. It's a stupid movie that is so much fun to watch. But you're on the clock. Sewell is there, but you're getting a first in 2021 and a first in 2022 for that fifth overall pick. Are you moving back or are you taking Sewell?
Depends on where. Depends on who's
Okay,
offering.
let's say that let's look at some of these. Let's say the LA Chargers. They're adding to this offensive line. They're at 13. They offer you 13 and a 2022 first for 5.
Herbert.
It's got to be more.
They're throwing Herbert.
They
too.
throw in Herbert. They throw in big herbs.
No,
All right.
they gotta give me
Herbert
more because they're going to be in a lower first round.
Nasty.
Next
Okay,
year.
okay. How about this? Dallas calls. They want to get a new tackle to protect their 160 whatever $1 million man Dak Prescott at 10. They're going to throw in their first in 2022. You moving back to 10?
See, that's a little bit more intriguing. 10 isn't that far. I think you can get Slater at that point. You definitely could have Darisaw at that point.
You moving back?
And they give you $100 Chick-fil-A gift card.
That puts it over the top right there.
Hey, now they're saying they're going to throw in CD.
Are you the drunk fantasy owner just throwing in these like
Listen,
blue chip?
no, but let's see what else you got. Let's see if we go with.
I need
Okay,
a little
I got
more.
2 more first I want to give you. What about Amari Cooper? You like him?
Do you want the 2025 first, 2026 first? I mean, are those available on our
Yeah.
They're not available.
Yes. Josh?
They're always available,
They're
Josh.
not available, Adam. I'm sorry.
They just rushed to RSO to see if they were available.
All right.
So I guess one thing I would kind of, I don't know, it makes me think about it as a Deshaun owner. If we're going to see a Deshaun trade, is it something that we can maybe see like on draft day? Like once some of these picks start happening,
Could be.
and maybe, Houston starts to see where some of these quarterbacks are moving off the board, or maybe they get some type of a knowledge, pre-draft as to who is going to take who.
GMs, I've always heard, real quick, they know 80% of where the draft's going to go
Yeah.
before draft day gets here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Do you think it could be a situation where Deshaun goes on draft day?
I don't know. I mean, it's still so weird. The Tyrod trade or the Tyrod free agency signing really didn't do anything. I mean, he's a fine backup. I don't think he's going to lead your team, but
That kind of told me because like Tyrod is a guy that you could plug in to start.
it's kind of 50-50.
Yeah, like that was kind of revealing. Not a lot of money, but a guy that obviously we've seen with his 2 past teams was the starter going into week 1.
But the teams that we've seen Deshaun pegged to as far as Miami now has Brissette and Tua. So they're pretty much saying they're not going to take Deshaun. So I'm with you. If it's going to be anybody, it's probably going to be Carolina. I don't know. It depends on like what Adam
Or the Jets.
That's what I was going to say. It depends on kind of who was asking about Russell Wilson, because I still might prefer. I mean, Russell Wilson is awesome. I'm not trying to diminish him, but Deshaun is younger, a little less tread on the tires. I would probably
close.
prefer Deshaun over Russell Wilson. at
Probably
this
would
point.
too, just for age.
A little more human.
Yeah.
Not married to Sierra, so you don't have that drama.
But yeah, I'm with you, Zach. I think these people that you could possibly see move up or down. I think you're spot on, and just what you're saying too, Josh, about these people moving up. Those are very quarterback deficient
needy
teams. I think probably the one for me, is probably going to be San Francisco. I want to say Denver, but we know Elway's track record of
Drafting quarterbacks is terrible.
well, and that
and, just
and
evaluating quarterbacks.
But he's not the main man anymore.
That's right.
That's
they got
true.
George Payton, but
he probably does also have some influence to bring in. I mean, who else older is still out there? Fitzpatrick would have been a great
he would
signing
have been
for Denver.
so good in Denver. I'm disappointed he didn't land there.
But I don't know who's still out there. I don't know really what the dude out there in San Francisco, what
Jimmy G?
Blaine Gabbert.
the coach. Shanahan.
Shanahan?
I don't know what he's thinking as far as quarterback wise, but he's got to be thinking
They
that
don't like Jimmy G.
yeah.
They've been telegraphing this all offseason. They
So
want to move on from Jimmy G so badly.
So I don't know who did this, so I'm not going to give any credit to it. But so this random mock that I brought up has Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2, Jamar Chase to Miami at 3,
I've seen that a lot of other places as well.
Pitts 4 to Miami,
Seeing that too.
and
Wait,
Sewell,
you mean 4 to Atlanta?
sorry, to Atlanta, Sewell to the Bengals, Waddell to Philadelphia,
Mhm.
which I don't really know that they need another Waddell type. Devontae Smith to the Lions, Mac Jones to the Panthers,
Jeez.
Justin Fields to the Broncos, and then to round it out at 10, they have the Cowboys taking a random corner.
So here's a fun.
Caleb Farley.
Yes. Sorry, not a random corner. I'm so sorry to the IDP brethren out there. But
That's right.
Trey Lance there. at 12 to San Fran, which is
Ooh,
interesting.
that would be
Be
very
nice.
interesting. Here's my ask: who is most likely to trade up? Our boy Macri threw it in there. If I had to guess, I'd say Houston makes the trade with Miami to 3rd overall for Deshaun Watson. Now, would that not be fascinating?
Wow.
3rd overall plus Tua for
Oh, they would have
Watson.
they'd have to give up more too.
You think
Miami would have to give up more than just that?
they maybe throw in some other picks?
A second and probably a first the following year.
Ooh,
Because Miami
gosh.
has some picks. It's kind of like when you go to do a deal with somebody and you're like, this guy's got a couple seconds and thirds.
I might take
well
them as well.
just pitch them in there and we'll see when you tell me to stop.
So, Zach, let's wrap up here. Those guys who sat out versus those who did not. Stock up or stock down. It seems like the first two guys here on the list, Sewell and Slater, stock up. I don't think it hurt either of them,
No,
did it?
Sewell basically stayed right where he was at.
Yeah.
He was considered the top last year. Slater, I think, went up a little bit. I would say he was late first round. He probably moved up a little bit.
AC?
AC.
AC,
Hey,
AC, yeah.
Saved by the Bell's
Yeah.
back on. Check it out.
We just
Peacock.
completely dated ourselves.
It is. Yeah, they did a revival.
Screech is dead, Josh.
Huh?
New people playing.
They got some of the old characters back. The handsome guy. What was his name?
Yeah. Zach Morris.
Zach Morris.
Yes.
Don't know
He's
his real
back.
name.
Uh,
Didn't Screech dead?
Screech
Yeah.
died.
Screech
Rip.
died. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Dustin
Yep.
Diamond. Yes, sir.
Oh, what's the principal's name? Mr. Belding.
I don't know. I did not watch Saved by the Bell.
Josh,
I
every
skipped-
morning eating cereal before I went to
skipped
school.
He's
over.
dead too. It was actually a murder suicide
God, everyone's
with
dead.
Screech.
We just also murder suicide at Zach's segment there. Sorry, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we heard Slater and we just were like, what about Saved by the Bell? Let's talk about
I
that.
said Slater how many times earlier, and it was that
I
Slater.
know.
It was
Yeah.
like,
that
ah!
specific Slater.
Didn't
Well, it was
hit.
also like the monster is setting in. A
You
little
boys
more.
like Kelly Kapowski.
What about Jamar Chase? I'm trying to keep this train on the tracks here,
Oh,
Zach, if you
you know,
can't tell.
Jamar Chase.
He's getting mocked at 3. I mean,
and he was wide receiver 1 when he sat out. Like
Yes.
they said, next year he's wide receiver 1. I think he still is, but I think it's by a lot closer margin than what it was when he started to sit out. And again, when I say sitting out, like everybody has their own reasons. These aren't like I'm not trying to go down that.
no,
route.
Zach, we know you're disappointed
Yeah,
in them
whatever.
as people.
But I think you look at Waddle, you look at Devontae Smith. The ground has closed a lot.
I would say
on
you're
Jamar
right.
Chase.
Well, he performed better than Justin Jefferson did in 2020.
Depends on the landing
It really
spot, of
depends on the
course.
landing spot. I think if he goes to Miami, absolutely.
What? Huh?
Yes.
What if it's
I think if he goes to Cincinnati, who there are a lot of people who are like Sewell or him. You reconnect him with Burrow after the year they had last year.
oh shoot, that's right. LSU connection.
That to me is
Got T.
Zach.
Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Zach, you know good and well, Josh Reynolds is going to the Cincinnati Bengals.
and who told you that?
I can't confirm my sources.
Yeah.
We don't ever out our sources.
Is
Mike,
he really? Is he gonna maybe go there?
That's the hot. That's the hot.
that's the
goss.
hot goss.
That's the
Wow.
team. That's the team.
Congrats.
That's the kids.
we're
would say.
deep.
How are you staying humble? How are you staying humble?
He's not. He's not staying humble. Micah Parsons. So Micah Parsons set out. This is the one I asked our boy John, who is the IDP that could sneak into the first round? He said there's no Chase Young, but Micah Parsons would be a guy to keep an eye on. in
Macker's
rookie
107.
drafts.
To me, he's a top 10 player if there wasn't going to be around the quarterbacks. I think he falls in the teens,
Okay.
and I think depending on where he goes, I mean, I'm laying my cards to the table. I don't have any picks in RSO in the first round. He's a guy that I could see going in the first round.
The Caleb Farley guy. There's a lot of top guys that actually
That's-
sat out.
Yeah, Caleb Farley sat out. Virginia Tech cornerback. You just said that he was slotted at 10 in that mock draft.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me. He'll be gone by 15.
That mock also had Micah Parsons slotted in I think it was 15 to the Patriots.
Yeah. So
Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
God, that would suck.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
terrible.
just, ugh.
Yeah.
one guy that I
No.
think really hurt his stock was Gregory Rousseau.
That's what I've heard this guy thrown around a little bit.
Yeah, Gregory Rousseau, I think when you looked at him in mock drafts last year, he was probably a top 10 to 15 talent. I wouldn't be shocked if he falls to the end of the first round, early second.
Okay. Where did you say he was before
10 to
then?
15.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
He was DE1, and I think now with Quiddy Payne out of
Quiddy Payne?
Quiddy Payne.
Quiddy Payne out of Michigan.
What about T-Pain?
That's I was trying to make sure
Teddy
I wasn't- I wanted to make sure I didn't say that. But I think there are several defensive ends that I think just played into the first round this year where he fell off a little bit. I think there's a few others. Levi
Onwuzurike.
Yeah.
At a Washington D-line. I think he's a second and third rounder. Javon Holland, early second rounder, probably out of Oregon. Best of the rest, Walker Little sat out. Sage Surratt, I think, is a third.
I've heard Surratt thrown around a little bit here.
I think he's a sneaky into second, early third.
What about Jalen Twyman or Jade Tufili?
He's
Both
both are good pass rushers.
There we go.
I think they're both interior defensive linemen that probably can go third, fourth round.
Mhm.
I was trying to give you guys like a few people that
I
could
love
be sneaky picks.
Sneaky picks.
right.
Jamie Newman?
Jamie Newman is the one that I don't know where, with a quarterback run. He had a great stretch there. He was at Georgia, and before that, he was at Wake Forest. He had a great start to, I believe it was 2019, and then he transferred to Georgia, didn't play at all this year.
Mhm.
I could see a team. He's an athletic thrower. I could see a team taking a waiver on him just based off of what this 2019 tape showed.
All right. So there we go.
One guy I'll touch on with Gregor Rizzo,
Mm-hmm.
redshirt freshman, he put up 15.5 sacks.
Ooh. So that's why he probably was getting this love in the 10 to
Yeah.
15 range. So why do you think he slid? Just because the other defensive ends kind of pushed him down?
I think that, and I think there was probably, when you looked at his tape, like there's some, if we go back to the Trey Hendrickson, Carl Lawson tape, I think that there's some where you see him finishing plays that were really created by others. And I'm not saying that he can't create plays, because I think he can. I think he's I think he's a strong athlete, but he's a more of a wiry athlete.
Is there anybody that could like throw a wrench in the top 10? Like, is there anybody outside the top 10 right now that you could see coming in and being like, oh my gosh, the Bengals just grabbed him at 5? I'm not saying the Bengals. I'm just saying like a Cleveland Farrell.
Who's
like,
the berserker?
Exactly.
Who's the guy that nobody sees coming?
It's so tough this year without the combine.
That's true.
Because the combine,
I missed the combine.
That's when like, a Cleveland Farrell or others would just like these
John
teams,
Ross.
These teams like the former Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders, but like when Oakland in those days would be like, God, give me the guy who can just like
That's what we talked about.
shirt, like,
Hey, baby.
Which I mean, DK Metcalf was that guy, and he's balling out. But like, that's
so you don't see
case.
a berserker as strong this season because we did not have the combine.
Which
is typically where guys make the surge up the boards.
That's my take.
I could see that.
And you also got to think that there were fewer Senior Bowl games. And the scouts, it's taking a lot more for scouts to go to these pro days across, there's a lot more with pandemic. So I think it's going to be more reliant on video technology than it ever has before. And don't get me wrong. Like every one of these big teams is filming every single practice. So any scout, when I worked for WKU, there was literally a scout room. They could pull up any practice, any game. They can see anything they want.
That's right.
So it's not like they don't see what they need to see.
Is anyone getting drafted from WKU this year? No, probably not.
It's gonna be a late round pick. I think John Haggerty, the punter. I think he could
play.
I think he could play. He was.
Let's go.
I know it sounds stupid. He's an Australian punter, but like I think there's a chance.
Is he left footed?
Going to the Patriots.
Going to the Patriots.
And this is bad. There was who was the cornerback? There was a cornerback who just ran a 4.3 40
from Western.
Yeah,
right.
And
I got some Blazers.
I'm sorry, WKU football. I'm failing you, and I don't
brought you on for offensive line, and WKU
sorry,
takes Zach.
Sorry, Big Red.
Moving.
They're definitely the offensive line. They most of the ones who would have been draft eligible took another year and are grad transferred out. So
hey, we'll give a shout out to Forrest Lamp. Has his endorsement with a Forrest Lamp.
That's right.
Look that up if you haven't seen that picture.
I was a little upset when I walked into the Sode Shack and I did not see the Forrest Lamp.
I mean, trust me, it's on my Christmas list.
It's on back order.
Yeah, it's
caught in the redwoods.
It's
out in
sold
California.
out. Yeah, they can't cut down the trees fast enough.
We're getting his brother Wood's lamp. It's cheaper.
They're worse than the Cards. I'll be honest.
What if
You're such an idiot.
What if these teams do a better job drafting without the combine? Like, what if we look in like week 10 and you're like, oh my gosh, these teams have crushed the first couple rounds.
First round looks a lot better than it typically does.
Because there's not a John Ross running like a 4.15.
The combine maybe makes a lot of these teams overthink things.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, and that's it. it's honestly laziness.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to see everything that you need
Without the
off
combine.
off the tape. Like,
but coaches are stubborn. They want, and GMs are stubborn. They want to see it with their own eyes, right? Like they want to take the toy out of the package and play with it and see it for themselves instead of seeing it on a video feed or being told by their scouts, like, this guy's great. Like, I don't know. I think it's a control thing.
Yeah.
The part of the combine that I like is the interviews. I think actually getting to talk with them and seeing how they think, that's important because you can't see that on film.
That's
Get
true.
them on the whiteboard.
But who cares if you can run a 4.240 in a straight line? How many people do that?
How many
You don't do that.
You don't do that in football with no pads on.
How many players go out there and run some stupid 40 and then they zoom in on some GM and some coach looking at each other like,
Okay.
all right, Usain Bolt.
I didn't have him on my
419, huh?
board, but I do now.
Yeah, he's top 15 now.
I've heard that the going forward, the 40 times is going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be all about like the game chips they wear. And
Did you
like,
see that from DJ, that Daniel Jeremiah tweet?
Probably.
He was talking about this. Like, we have technology, like chips on these players that tell us their acceleration and like
miles per hour?
miles. Like, we know so much more about their in-game speed that the 40 will just become a relic.
We
They
also
may not even
knew-
run it anymore.
We also know now who they're getting around and like have to quarantine from. So that's probably via that chip
That's
this year.
exactly right. Yes.
But shuttle times and things like that are way more important anyways. To
Yes,
me, that's
change
just,
of direction.
Be able to see, because that's what you're going to do in a game.
I will say shout out to our boy Fantasy Guru, bro. He's kind of put me onto this, but there is some type of crazy website out there for insane people who track basically 3 different sections of the 40. So like the first 10, the second or the second 20, or I guess the first 20, whatever you want to call it, and then the end. So it basically shows you your 0 to 10, who's your quickest there, who has your burst or whatever, your torque, I guess, horsepower wise. I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But then like your burner speed towards the end. And I don't know, there's a little bit of correlation to that as far as like, you know, kind of how they play and how they, you know, hit the hole, how they actually catch the ball and like have, you know, top end speed down the field. I don't know. I think there's a little bit more correlation to stats like that than there are just like, oh, wow, he ran a 4.35, you know, like that's great.
I just wish they'd have them do it in pads. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, but then again, I guess you can compare apples to apples.
You get to see grown men run around in like really
Spandex.
thin clothing. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's right.
goodness.
Maybe
Stuff
you
falling
get
out.
a Chris Jones situation.
Who was it? The guy, Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis got tackled by his penis. So we'll end on that.
That was Chris
I'm
Jones. wasn't it?
Chris Jones?
That was Chris Jones.
I'm really going to miss Rich Eisen running this year. That's all I'm going to say.
That's true.
That's
That's
true.
one thing
That's
that we're
true.
losing.
Because Rich, I know you're listening. I'm
Shout.
I'm
He
He is. He's a
Rest in peace,
Patreon.
Rich,
He's a
man.
patron,
Rest
yeah.
in peace. It sucks. Yeah.
Rest in peace to Rich Eisen.
Well, he's still alive.
Oh, I thought you were saying that.
Yes. How did you get that he was dead out of that? He's not
I'm
running it.
just kidding, boys.
We're going to get out of here before Eddie says something that for sure gets us canceled. Keep an eye out. We were doing some snaps in the old backyard. Addie was gripping it and ripping it as the QB.
We got some film coming.
We got some film coming.
Hard to see out there, though.
It is hard to see. It's
disclosure.
very dark. We may have to brighten the
He
footage
may
up a
have
little
been
bit.
ripping it. We don't know.
Yeah.
He may have taken down a couple tree branches.
He was trying to, that's for sure. Well, Zach, thanks for coming on and educating our listeners on all things Bengals and WKU and offensive linemen. This was a great draft preview because we're going to hit the IDPs and the offensive weapons coming up, but we don't show enough love to these big hog mollies on the offensive line. So thank you for educating us on this episode.
Thanks for having me in.
Absolutely. Fellas, next week we get a vacation. You've been asking for it for years, Addie.
Thank you.
And it's finally going to happen.
It ain't happening. I'm not believing it till I see it.
So
Natalie wants me to maybe join.
well, have fun with that. That's going to be right up your alley. We're going to be talking the hottest offensive players. So tune in, show our girls some love. They've been doing a lot of work, and they're very excited. So we hope you guys will check that out, and we'll be back after that. We're going to start the draft preview series. John Macri has some great guests lined up as well. So we're going to be doubling down all the draft preview content you could ever want. But we hope you all enjoyed this episode tonight. Thanks for sticking with us a little bit longer tonight, but we appreciate you guys checking out the live stream, checking out the episode. We want to give a shout out to our patrons as always. We love you guys. Stay safe, have fun, and we will see you all next week.
This is Big 3 IDP.